All right, Bridget Burt, we're doing it
Yeah.
on short notice. Making it happen.
Go.
Not much else going on, I suppose, eh?
Nah, well, I'm keeping busy.
I was going to say, actually, I feel like you are keeping quite busy.
Yeah, actually, every single day I find, like, I don't have it planned exactly, but every day I've got activities all day.
Yeah.
Only time I get bored is at night time.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
When the sun goes down, you can't be outside running amok.
Yeah, like I still work on things. Like there's still stuff to always do. I guess just nighttime's more of a chill thing for me. Beforehand, I'd be training in facilities at nighttime.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's at home, it's just using the space.
Yeah. So I was sort of half saying before, but I followed you for a while through Ali Hodge's Instagram. And I remember just like one day looking at like you guys through Trade Tools or something, saw your Instagram and I was like, damn, this chick's fucking gnarly. Like super gnarly. But to me, what was like when I reached out and messaged you about coming on the podcast was when you fucking run that marathon randomly the other day. And I was just like, this chick's on some fucking other shit, like some other shit. And I was like, I kind of need to figure out what's going on upstairs there.
Yeah, well, I guess the marathon was always sporadic because I hate running.
Yeah, that's at the start. You're like, oh, I don't run. I'm going to see how far I go. And I was like, oh, yeah, she'll bust out a cheeky 10Ks.
Yeah, well, what happened was I was talking to one of the girls in the house that I'm staying at, and he was saying, I was kind of talking a little bit about what I think of life and mindset sort of things. And he goes, oh, you should read this book. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I can't sit down for long enough just to read. So I end up downloading the audiobook.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to it and training and stuff. And then...
Which is cool. The audiobook, for those that haven't listened to it, he reads it as well as the guy that wrote the book for him. And then so they kind of go back and forth, and it's like a bit of a different structure, eh?
Yeah.
So like it's not just reading the book.
Yeah, and it puts like a bit more context behind things, and it goes into detail a bit more about certain things. So it was great. I loved the audiobook. I smashed it out in like 2 days. But I'd always thought about it. I've always thought, oh, I wonder if it's possible for me to like run a marathon, but that's just something I didn't really care so much about. And then I listened to this book, and he's saying how he ran 100 miles on broken legs. And I've always been a person that's been able to deal with pain pretty well. I don't know, developed it, I guess, as a child, just running amok. And so I've always wondered if I ran a marathon, no training or whatever, to push myself further than I thought I could, if it would be my body that gave up first or my mind that gave up first. So would it be me just being like, oh, stuff this, I don't want to do it anymore, or my legs and whatever can't do it?
Yeah.
So the plan was just go for a long run. First 10, 15 Ks.
So did you plan on it being a marathon before you started?
I had it in the back of my head.
But you didn't like commit to it?
No, I didn't commit to it. I didn't tell anyone that I was going for a run. I just left, and then...
Because you like slept in, right?
Yeah.
So you overslept.
I overslept.
And then you got up.
I tell you what, I felt really crappy that morning. And then I got a message off this girl that I she went to my school, and she just saying like, oh, it's so awesome, all the random stuff you're doing, and it's like really inspiring, and that just like boosted me up. And I'm like, you know what? Like,
fuck it.
I'm going for a run.
Yeah.
And then the plan was when I got to the beach, I just saw Coolangatta, and I was like, that would be sick to make it from surface to make it to Coolangatta and look back and see how, like visually that would be really cool. Like I ran that far. And then first 10, 15 Ks was a bit, I was like, oh, am I really doing this?
Yeah.
And it was a bit tiring. But then afterwards I put on some other thing to listen to. It wasn't music. It was like some information podcast or something. And that just kept me distracted the whole time. And all of a sudden my breath started getting really good. Like I wasn't puffing anymore. I could start to feel my joints, my hip flexors and my knees were starting to like ache and whatnot. And then each beach I got to, I was like, gone further, just thinking about, I can get to Cooley. Got to Cooley, and then I was like, oh, I've only got like 13, 14 more Ks, and then I've done a marathon. Like, if I do that, well, like I've already done so far. Like,
you kind of passed like
So once I hit near Cooley, I was like, I'm doing it. I'll run to Tweed and then run a little bit back. And the last 4 Ks was when I was like, oh, come on, just get it done. I ended up calling a friend and just talking on the phone while I'm running. That's
awesome.
Just talk to me so I'm distracted.
That's crazy. So you are exactly the person that I thought you would be after I saw that. Like, just to say that, you know, like you've got some sort of mindset stuff going on. Because to me, like with all the filming stuff that I've done and the different people that I've met through that, and a lot of people that I still enjoy talking to on this podcast, are people that just have that fucking weird gear in their head that they can just do something like that, and there's not a lot of, well, I guess there would be like mental pushback, like the negative talk, but I've been thinking more and more lately about people that are successful will essentially get to a point of like that negative sort of talk, and then it just gets turned off.
Yeah.
Like there's just a conscious decision that person stops and they just go forward with whatever it was that they were thinking about. And I think when I look at myself, I'm a super deep thinker and I enjoy thinking deep. I read a lot of deep shit. I enjoy being there. But the problem I've found with that is that you can end up being a person that can, you just sort of live in like that thought space.
Yeah.
And then it's like you can think something through so much that it ends up being like this fucking massive thing that you can't really tackle. So you're like, okay, I'll leave that and I'll do that another time. And then you start thinking about something else, and then you just get more into thinking about it than actually doing it. And then you don't end up doing it. And I kind of had this thought recently where I was like, I feel like people that can do that kind of shit aren't people that are just blessed with not having negative thoughts in their head. They're just people that can stop those thoughts manually, just like press that button and then just go and do it. And then the process of doing it kind of absolves all of those negative thoughts anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Like one thing is like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, is a lot of people get scared of failure. I get scared of failure all the time, but then I'm like, if I, like, nobody knows what I'm doing half the time. Like if I fail, no one's even gonna, so the external's not there. I don't have that pressure from thinking, oh, these people think I'm gonna fail or whatever.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, I'll just try and see if I can. And then once you start, that's when it's easy. The process of getting from whatever you're doing to start that activity, etc. That's the hard bit. That's the motivational bit.
And that's the bit where you can get just stuck thinking. Yeah. And thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking.
Yeah. And now, like, just with my whole life, a lot of people have like a bucket list and they're like, I'm going to do that in my lifetime. I want to do this. If something for me on my bucket list goes on the bucket list, I have to make it happen like
ASAP.
Today, tomorrow, next week. Like, it's not something, oh, I'm going to do that in the future. Because for me, like, it's a very cliche saying, live every day as if there's no tomorrow. Yeah. But literally, like, this pandemic is kind of an example, but it's been horrific, the pandemic in some countries. But can you imagine if the pandemic was worse and there literally was no tomorrow and we're stuck inside and we can't do anything, and we can regret all the stuff that we wanted to do, we never did. Yeah. So I think if there's like an opportunity for it to happen now, if it's on your list to do it. Yeah. Just do it. Like, it's, that's why I've gone, like, I always thought, the day I thought about doing skydiving and all this stuff, I'm like, I need to book it now. Yeah. Otherwise, you just put it off. Yeah. Like, you plan a date, put it in motion, and then, like, it happens, and then it's awesome.
Have you always had like such a gnarly energy? Because you're like a little person. Like, you're not a very big person at all, but you've got like a fucking big voice, a big energy. Like you have like a pretty gnarly presence. Like, has it always been like that for you?
No, it's definitely developed. Yeah, like growing up, I learnt a lot. Just with like some hardships with family stuff. Yeah. And then finishing school was like a really hard time for me. I had a toxic relationship, was stressed out trying to finish year 12. I'd gotten anxiety and all this stuff happening throughout my life, and then like it was almost to a breaking point. But then once I actually overcame that, then I started appreciating everything in life, and I just wanted to enjoy everything and make myself better in any way, do more, and just like live. Just have fun.
So what sort of anxiety stuff were you having to go through then?
So, like me and my mum had a like really on-off relationship where sometimes I would be at home, sometimes I'd be living in with friends, backs and forths from when I was like about 12.
Yeah,
and
really? That young?
I ended up leaving home at 16.
Fuck.
At the time, I was also dating. I just started dating this guy 6 months in, and I ended up staying with them and their family, just so I could finish at 12. I didn't want to fall out and then not have a future. That's what was in my mind at the time. I wouldn't have a future if I didn't finish school. So this relationship was always making me kind of anxious because 1 minute my mum would feel we'd have a great connection, then you never knew what would happen and just drop the coin, and then all of a sudden it was a disaster. So it was always like that, and I never felt really stable, secure. So she had like
her own issues kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of thing, yeah.
That's got to be gnarly. Like I got a friend, well, one of my sister's best friends actually, but she ended up basically living with us because her mum had bipolar, and it was fucking crazy. Like my heart broke for this girl, because like, you know, obviously as a girl to be so connected to, you know, you're so connected to your mum. Then her mum ended up committing suicide actually, as she was, maybe grade 10 or something like that.
Oh my God.
And then she found her, and then she ended up staying with us a bunch. But like, man, it was so hectic to like, and I would think about it because I was in the opposite position. I had like a really good sort of solid family, probably like to the point of like an overbearing, you know, mum, as opposed to one that like was in and out of your life, you know, and it was just crazy to like watch a situation where this girl had no choice. Like it wasn't her fucking issues. It wasn't, you know, anything that she did. She was just born into this world with a mum that already kind of had these issues. It was crazy to think because from like my lane, your parents are like a supportive kind of always there. So to actually see firsthand that that's not the case for everybody, it's kind of gnarly. Yeah.
And like, there's some horrific things. Everyone has like a past, and some have a much worse things. Just, I guess it's just what, actually I had this discussion with a friend the other day, and he's telling me about how he read in a book, and it's so true. I agree with it 100%. So you can have two people, and this was actually a true story. Two people in the army, one of their best friends, they watched them get killed, and one guy looked at that and was like, okay, I need to start living life to its fullest. Like you can just die tomorrow. And then the other guy looked at it and was like, humanity is messed up. Like like how can he was such a good person, how can humanity just like create these wars and hate each other? So he ended up having a really negative reaction to it. Yeah. So his whole life is now like, oh, I don't care about people. I don't want to connect with people. Everyone's messed up. The world's messed up. And then the other guy was like off living life, doing everything and succeeding because he's pushing all his limits. Yeah. So that was just an example of how the same situation happened, but it all comes down to how you choose to feel about it and then how you react to it. Yeah. So every single situation in life is like how you feel about it, how you react to it. So I think a lot of people had a lot of people would have a hard upbringing, but it just depends if you're able to react to it in different ways. So for me, like at the time, I just wasn't old enough, wasn't mature enough to understand, so I let it get to me a lot. And then I compared to some other people that had it much worse when I was reading the David Goggins about his father holding a gun and stuff.
Crazy shit he went through, eh?
Yeah. Like I was relating to that sort of stuff, but it was never in that extreme level. So I'm like,
it's all like relative though, right? Because to you at the time, it's like that it's ground zero. Like it feels like as real as it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's you sort of don't have that perspective when you're young because you've never been in another situation. And if something is like objectively bad to you, then it's like, it's bad. Yeah. Same as it would have been for him, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, and then just from that, I don't regret anything now that happened because it made me who I am today. Yeah. Like I'm very independent now. I am very good at saving money and supporting myself just because I had to when I was growing up. And I seem to make decent decisions. So all that. And now, like, me and my family have been apart for so long, we've actually created that better connection because we're not intensely together.
Yeah.
So I am absolutely happy to say, like, growing up like that made me be able to be strong in certain aspects. So I'm fine with it.
So you think that kind of energy and like your attitude that you've got came through all of the shit that you had to go through from such a young age?
I think certain aspects, like definitely being independent and not having a stable place. So I've always been able to pack up and move anywhere. So those are the bases. But the stuff with like adrenaline, sports, and pushing myself to do more and be better at stuff, that was just, I don't know how that came about. That was just kind of self-development, step by step by step. I wouldn't say that came from my childhood, but it's just like one thing led to another, where like I became into traveling when I was 14. I did my first trip with my parents to America, and then before that, I was a little rat at school. Like, I was getting in trouble, detention all the time. Like, I wasn't studying. And then I went overseas and then I saw more. I saw, like, different cultures and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to go back, try harder at school. And then I did. I never got a single detention from that day. And I also got a travel bug. And I was like, I need to travel. So the next year, I was 15, I convinced my parents to let me go travel around America by myself.
What?
So I was 15 when
How the fuck did you do that?
So my mum is an orphan. So she's Brazilian as well. So she grew up, she grew up in Brazil in an orphanage. So it was, again, she has had even harder upbringing.
0% Brazilian.
I got my dad's cut like eyes and hair. So, but when we're next to each other, we look similar. She just got the darker.
Yeah,
side.
it's just darker features and stuff.
Yeah. So she never had parents to kind of guide her and tell her what to do, which is understanding of like things, how she brought me up. And because she traveled at such a young age, she had to make ends meet, and she left an orphanage at like 12 years old and was moving around everywhere, Israel, London, England, etc. She saw that I was mature enough to do it. And when I went overseas, I had 2 friends I was going to go stay with, and then we were going to go travel another city, and then I ended up staying in another place by myself, and then going down to San Diego by myself. Just traveling around.
Insane to me.
It was hard to explain to my friends at school because they're like, what? But yeah, it's just.
So how are you getting around?
I'd fly places. Yeah. And then it was just like.
So how could you get on like planes and stuff? Like
you had to get a
like a Guardian sort of signature or whatever.
Yeah, a Guardian signature, and then there'll be a hostess that guided you from one plane to the next. Yeah, if you're under 16, that's how it works.
So where did you start? So you landed in LA.
Landed in LA. I went to Michigan.
Were you scared?
No, see, because I've always kind of been by myself and like just looked after myself.
Yeah. Are you an only child?
No, I have a brother, but he left when he was 16. He's older, so I was 12 years old when he left.
Okay.
So from then, I was pretty much, from that moment, felt like an only child because he was a different city.
And so, like, when you were living by yourself or, like, kind of, I guess, not around your mum that much, like, were you having to do all your own, like, cooking and, like, stuff like that? Oh,
yeah, definitely. We were doing, like, I was doing from grade 3 my own lunches and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. They definitely, like, they paid for my food, put a roof over my head, put me in school. But then everything else was me, like.
Really?
Yeah.
And then like no siblings around after.
Yeah, and we lived out of town as well, so.
Where did you grow
up? Port Macquarie, down New South Wales. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful little town.
Yeah.
But we lived outside of town, and there's no public transport from where I lived. It was great to grow up on like 6 acres.
Yeah.
But I got so bored if I was stuck out there by myself.
Yeah, right.
So I would hitch a ride with my parents. They'd start work at 6 a.m. So I would go in with them, and then I had until they finished, which was like 6, 7, 8 p.m. sometimes later. So I had the whole day where I had to go around town and just fill in my time. I had no like nowhere just to sit down and chill. Like it was kind of like going around, skating around.
Wow.
So it was like exploring for a full day.
I feel like I'm watching a movie right now. I can just imagine like a little fucking blonde-haired rat just cruising around town and
no
like
shoes.
all the like shopkeepers like giving you fucking.
It was a small town, so everyone knows. Yeah.
So and did the town kind of like look after you a little bit in a way? Like, did they know that was the case, or
they didn't know? My friends did. My best friends did, and they always kind of took me in whenever I needed to. I'd just rock up their house sometimes without being unannounced. I'd be like, hey, I'm here, and they're like, oh yeah. So they became like second families to me, which was amazing. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have them at some stages.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty much all the time. If I wasn't in school, I was somewhere just cruising around town. Because if I was at home, I just would get so bored, didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, so that kind of makes sense, the way that you now are just like so busy and like doing shit all the time.
Yeah. And it helped me with like time management and just always keeping on my feet, keeping active. I never grew up doing any sports or anything, so it was kind of just like mucking around everywhere.
Yeah. So I guess then, 15, getting on a plane to America alone probably didn't seem like that big a
deal. And I guess also because the year before I'd done work placement down in Sydney, because in grade 10 you can do a week of work placement.
Yeah.
And I went and did it at this theatre in Sydney. But I went and stayed in Sydney by myself. So I had that experience of being in a city with a lot of people by yourself at a young age.
Yeah.
So just like even a little thing like that was 1 week being by myself. That just gave me enough confidence to be like, as long as I've got reserve money in my card, like I always have that. I always have like a little bit of money that will get me on a flight, get me accommodation, food.
Yeah.
Like that makes me comfortable wherever I go. As long as I got that little reserve there, if everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
That I could fall back on. So I went over there planning to see 2 friends, staying with them, and then I took 6 weeks off school.
Yeah.
I studied really hard beforehand, and so I didn't fall behind. And then one of my friends, she was actually like, I think she's 10 years older than me, 15 years older than me or something.
Yeah.
And we went to New York. We traveled to a couple other cities, Miami, just all around the place. And then when I went to Michigan, it's kind of like, it's another completely different as well.
There's not a lot going on in Michigan.
Yeah. And then, so I met a lot of other friends, and it was great being there by myself because you're so open to meet people.
Yeah.
So I made so many friendships, and then we would just go to like Chicago or something, just some random place. And so I had these 6 weeks, and my parents actually didn't contact me the whole time I was over.
So heavy.
Yeah. And then I came back and caught up to school, did it again the next year.
Yeah, right.
Went to a couple of new places, but it was in North America at the time. So my parents considered that a safe enough environment.
Yeah, if you're coming from the orphanages of Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not going to a developing country.
Yeah.
And then once I finished school, I'd already had that travel bug and just kept going. Just wanted to see more of the world, experience more. So
what did you, like, when you first went at 15, like, what did you think you were going to find? Like, were you just after adventure? Were you, like, trying to find yourself a little bit? Like...
I was so young. I wasn't really thinking about, like, learning anything or doing anything specific. It was just, like, go there and just have fun. It was just like a 6-week holiday, Christmas time. It's kind of like that. Just go hang out with friends, go see new things.
Yeah.
And being in like a little town, especially exploring it every single day, I got so bored.
Yeah.
I remember at the time hating Port Macquarie because I was so bored of seeing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Now I look back at it and I know it's so beautiful and stuff, but like at the time I'm like, just get me out of this town.
Yeah.
I need to see more, like just have a different scenery. If anything becomes repetitive for me, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, okay.
Can't do it. So that's what I do with everything in life. If I'm doing one thing that's amazing, but if it becomes repetitive, I'm not progressing or it's not changing.
Yeah.
Then I get bored of it and then I move on.
Yeah. One of the things that I can relate to you from just following you for however long is that you're always doing new shit. And you get like, whenever you do something, you get super into it. And I'm the same. Like, I mean, I'm the worst for it. Like I grew up racing motocross my whole life. Like we did a lot of sport and stuff like that. And then I'd do motocross, and then I'd start playing golf with people through bikes, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm doing the golf thing, and then I'm at the range for like 5 hours at a time, and I'm like filming my swing, and I'm on YouTube watching videos, and then it's like I get pretty good at golf, and then I'm like, I'm gonna do something else, and then like now I'm into jiu-jitsu.
Oh, sick.
And I started
awesome.
like competing in jiu-jitsu heavily.
Nice.
And I can like, now I just got like a car simulator. So it's like I've been doing some simulated car racing, and so it's like I just enjoy whatever it is when you like first get into something and then you realize like how fucking bad you are at it.
Yeah.
And the possibility of growth.
Yeah, progression.
Yeah, I'm just like so fascinated by that.
Yeah.
And like the jiu-jitsu stuff, like that's something that I'm not going to stop doing now. That's I really want a goal of getting a black belt. But I went so much further in that than I ever even thought I could, or in just like a few years, you know? And to me, like there's just something in that. And then following you, I can see that that's something that you've been into as well. And it's really interesting because I don't find a lot, like I don't meet a lot of people that have that mindset, and especially for girls, and it's not a knock on girls, but not a lot of girls will just try something not only new but like fucking gnarly. Like the shit you do is gnarly, like the gymnastic stuff that you're into now, and like the strength training and stuff that you're doing, and when you do it, like you go all in. And it's cool. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah, well, I think one of the best feelings in the world, besides the adrenaline fun, is progression. Like the feeling you get, and going into a lot of the stuff I do, it's kind of been like, I know I'm going to fail. That's just part of it. Doesn't matter what you do, you're going to fail. Yeah. And then for me, I know I'm going to get hurt. I know it's not going to be an injury. It's just going to be temporary pain. So, for example, like doing gymnastics, because I get so into progressing, I push myself a lot harder. Yeah. I know I'm going to try a trick and I'm going to fail and it's going to hurt. Like you just have to be prepared for that. But you just need to know that the pain's temporary, as long as it's not a serious injury. But just getting bruises and stuff, I'm absolutely happy with getting bruises or getting winded or anything like that, because I know it's only going to last like 30 seconds, 1 minute, like 10 minutes, and then it'll be good again. Yeah. So not being scared to get hurt is one of the things that makes me able to do the, I guess, more gnarly things. Yeah. And then, yeah, it's definitely like any activity I do, I want to do it well. And then once I start, it's just that feeling of progression. You do one thing and then you become really good at it, and then you can develop more and like, it just keeps going on. Yeah.
And so when did that whole thing start for you? Because I thought you would have been like some kind of child sporting prodigy kind of deal, you know?
I wish I could have been in like martial arts and gymnastics when I was a kid, but my parents just wouldn't put me in it.
Because you do Taekwondo as well, right?
Yeah. So I started when I moved to China.
Fucking hell, here we go.
Oh yeah, okay. So I've lived in 4 countries.
You're a G.
When I finished school, I went to Gold Coast and I was working in the water sports there because that's my background. When I grew up, I was working for my dad in the water sports. Yeah. He was doing jet boat jet skis. So I just went to Gold Coast and I did the same thing. I went and did jet skis, and then they have flyboarding, which is a new thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it was like, I've always been like into exciting things, like anything adrenaline. So I tried it out and I loved it. It was like such a great feeling being so high up in the sky and stuff, and I picked it up really well. So the guy that I worked with ended up hooking us up with this other guy to do a session where we just went out and did some flyboarding, had some fun in the morning before work. Yeah. And he ended up telling me about this gig in China, and it was a flyboard show, jet ski show. And he said, send in a video, like they might want more people. So I did. I sent in a video and they were happy with my skills. And then they gave me pretty much a week to move to China. And China's never a place that I thought about going. Yeah. So I was ready for it. It's kind of like anything in my life is like, if I think one day, if I have a choice and I don't make that choice, then I think one day I'm going to regret it. Yeah. I have to do it. Yeah. If there's going to be that chance where I'm going to be like, oh, what would that have been like? No, I can't. I don't like that. Like I want to be. If I'm going to think like that, then I'm going to try it and see what happens. So the thing with China is like I was signing a contract, And if everything went wrong, I just would pay out the rest, whatever was on the contract.
Yeah.
Pay the fee. You have to get a new performer over, and I'll fly home. Like it's not that big a deal. It's a big step, but there's always a way out.
Yeah.
So I was like, yep, stuff it. So I packed everything up. A week later, went to China. This show was insane. This show was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was a SeaWorld type theme park, but it had way more animals and it was way bigger. Like everything was on an extreme level.
Yeah. China's just crazy, eh?
Firework displays like our New Year's, but every single night, 365 days a year.
Wow.
So we did these shows.
What city were you in?
Zhuhai, which is just across from Macau, but it's in the mainland.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So I was in the mainland side, which was much different to like Hong Kong or Macau. They were more westernized.
Yeah.
So that was interesting itself, just living in China.
Had you, the travels that you'd done as a kid, had you gone to any third world countries or like Asian countries, developing countries?
Just before China, I'd finished school. I was 18 and I'd did the typical Bali for a month, and then I went to Ecuador.
Yeah, okay.
And I traveled around Ecuador, like into the Amazon with a friend that went, like, I never thought about going to Ecuador, but at the same time I wanted to go back to see a friend in the States.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just jump across to South America as well. So we did a trip in South America, just around
How was
Ecuador.
the Amazon?
Oh, it was awesome. I had an amazing experience.
Did you do ayahuasca or anything?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, fuck, tell me about it.
That was...
So this podcast you can literally say and fucking do whatever you want.
Okay,
so
sick.
We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
I was worried about swearing and shit.
No, fuck that. We smoke weed on here and carry on and yeah.
Yeah, so my friend, I'd never done hallucinogenic before, and my friend was actually really interested in doing the ayahuasca. So he was the one who told me about it and kind of asked if I wanted to do it, if I'd be interested.
Yeah.
And I looked into it and I researched as much as I could to find out about DMT, and it all seemed pretty like...
Fuck, this is like the finale. Oh, fuck it up.
And...
I think we were going to talk about like running and fucking gymnastics and shit. And, keep going.
So... I went to Ecuador. We went to a couple of different places. I've always wanted to go to like the Amazon. I've always just been interested in it. And he was telling me about ayahuasca, but there was all these different options. You could go get like a white person that's doing it just for tourism, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
And they just give you the drink and stuff.
Fucking bar and
some
disco lights and shit.
Put you in the bed, like, that's it. But we wanted to do it properly. So we got a proper shaman in a village in the middle of the Amazon. So like we had to, even just getting there, you're like on the back of a truck, just like hitching it and like trying to go through all these dirt tracks into this village. And it's amazing. Like it's a proper village. I didn't think people like at the time
still live like
that. Yeah. And like huts and stuff. And I'm like, wow. And he took us through, so we had one guy take us through with in the Amazon, explaining a bunch of shit about the Amazon. And then we saw the guy actually cut down the route, and then his wife prepared the big drink.
Yeah, right. So you watched the whole thing.
Yeah, so we're there for a few days, and you have to do this whole prep where you don't drink for 2 weeks, you don't have sex for 2 weeks, you don't...
Right.
3 days before you're supposed to stop eating. I couldn't do 3 days, I did 2 days. My friend couldn't do 2 days, he did 1 day. But yeah, you have to do all this prep so your body's like in a proper... place. It's like detoxed a bit and etc. And you also have to be really comfortable about where you're doing it, because that will influence your trip like 100%. So I had researched all this and figured this all out. So I was
Had you done drugs in general before, really?
No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was just like, but because I looked into it, I'd never really been like, to be honest, I never really knew about ayahuasca until I watched like the Simpsons movie, and you see how you goes that trip. So I never really looked into drugs at all. I never really been interested in parties, like taking drugs. I just always had fun being drunk. So yeah, that was just a big step for me. I was just like, okay, I'm going to do it. It's kind of like if you're going to do something, do it well.
Yeah. Fuck.
So we did this. We went into this place, and I'd researched how you had to have a good mindset going into it. You had to feel comfortable. So watching the whole process is like, you felt really good about it. You know what was in the drink. You know what was like, everything was natural. And he just started the ceremony. He put us in before the ceremony, I went and watched a video that I knew made me happy at the time. Like it was this like bright colors, awesome music that I loved. It just put me in a good mood.
Yeah.
And I don't know what my friend did, but anyway, he put us in, it was 4 of us. We put us in like this little hut, and we're on these beds on the ground, just little mattresses. And he starts this music. He speaks all in Spanish, so we didn't actually know half the stuff he was saying.
Yeah.
And he makes us snort this tobacco stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Which just made your head go a bit spinny. And then he started music, and then he gave us like his natural instruments. He's making the music himself. And then he gave us a drink. We drank it, and then we were put into the bed. The lights went out, the candles or whatever went out, and we tried to sleep for 30 minutes. I ended up falling asleep after 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden it was like a click, and everything starts vibrating. The shaman's there still doing his music, like really relaxing music and stuff. And all I could see, like my eyes are closed, you're in darkness, but all I could feel was vibrations. And the next day he actually told me that I was humming and rocking with his music, and I didn't know that I was doing that.
Yeah.
The first vision I saw was like, it was fuzzy, 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 and then all of a sudden I go sucked into a toucan's eye. So there's a toucan that comes up, and I just go inside to its eyeball, and then everything starts going a bit different colors and stuff. And what happened with me is you throw up. That's why they tell you not to eat.
Yeah.
My friend threw up a lot because he ate. For me, it was just like a bit of water. But when I was throwing up, what I was seeing was a black aura coming out of my mouth. It was like a demon leaving me.
Yeah.
And it only lasted like 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden I now started tripping out being different animals. So I was seeing all these colors, and then I was experiencing flying, experiencing being deep underwater, experiencing running so fast. And I guess it's all these feelings that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be able to fly and go super fast and go like explore underwater and all those sort of things. And I got to a point where the globe was there, and then I got sucked out of the globe, and I was looking down on Earth, and then Earth stopped moving, and then I stopped moving. The vibration stopped for just a simple moment, and there was such a realization that everything is so insignificant.
Yeah.
Like nothing has everything only means what you put meaning on.
The value that you give to it.
Yeah. And how like everything is interconnected kind of thing. A lot, like everyone always comes out of it like thinking like things are interconnected, and when I was looking at it, I'm like, everything is one.
Yeah.
Everything is whole. Like the earth, animals, the dirt, humans, like everything is energy and just one unit.
Yeah.
And then I also went into another trip where it's like reconnect with your mum, and it was like a more deep thing about what I should fix in my life.
Yeah.
So I did go onto a trip like that, and then this trip lasted about 5 hours, and I had an amazing experience. I would definitely do it again, but like I wouldn't do it a regular thing. It's like kind of like when I forget about this trip, then I want to go experience it again.
Yeah.
But the next day I was like writing my journal, I have a travel journals, and I just write what I do. And I just wrote for like hours and hours just about my trip. And my friend actually had a really bad trip.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he might have, I don't know. I wasn't really talking to him about it before he went into it, and he didn't really want to talk about it afterwards either. But he just told me because he stood up and tried to walk out of the hut and stuff, and he just had this black aura all around his body, and just saw darkness the whole time. So you really need to feel like comfortable and like
I think you've got to accept. I haven't done it. I've done a lot of other psychedelics, but obviously I haven't ever been able to go to the Amazon. But I think you've just got to accept whatever comes with it. I think people that have bad trips are people that go in hoping for something. Like, oh, I hope I get this out of it. I hope I get that out of it. Like some of the best trips that I've had have been when I genuinely have like cleared my mind, had no expectations, and just gone, I'm just going to do the mushrooms, or I'm going to do it, and just whatever happens. And like, I've always been okay with having a bad trip, if that makes sense. Because it's like, I think that if you're doing psychedelics, it's not for fun. Like you shouldn't do psychedelics to enjoy it. Like go do fucking ecstasy. That's why it's called ecstasy.
Yeah.
Like that shit's fun. But this, whether, even if it's a bad trip, I think you can still really learn. And I think that, if you're kind of going into it wanting to take a particular thing away, that particular thing doesn't happen. Or if you go into it wanting to have a good, fun experience. Like, it's not always guaranteed. Like, you just have to be so open-minded with it.
Yeah. And that helps also. Like, when you accept it, you're not scared. The more...
It's still scary, though. But I think you just have to accept that it will be over at some point.
Yeah.
And that you can't control it.
Yeah, whereas other people would go into a panic because they can't control.
And that's like when I think... like edibles, like edible marijuana, fuck, you can get to some gnarly like that's actually the gnarliest psychedelic I've ever done.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like a lot though, and it was like dead shit. Like I thought I was gonna die.
Wow.
Yeah, but even through that, like it's pretty much like how I was describing it to people afterwards. I did it on a plane, which was fucked. And it felt like I got shot into space. And then like I pretty much just gave up. Like I put my head down on the tray table and I was just like, I was done. And I wasn't even like me anymore. I was just fucking gone for ages.
I can't believe you did that on a plane.
Well, so it's like kind of a gnarly story, but I was leaving, I probably shouldn't say the country, but I was leaving the country, coming home, and I had like 1,000 milligram lollipop, which like that's a lot. Like if I normally would do, like whenever I would just recreationally have edibles just to like relax and enjoy a flight, I'd have like 30 milligrams. So then this lollipop was like 1,000. I was kind of like tripping on the whole like being in an airport thing. So and then I saw some sniffer dogs. Oh. So then I just like put the whole lollipop in my mouth. It's because I was like, they, you know, like they won't be able to find it, sort of deal. And then it like the line just took forever, like fucking forever. And then the dog like just constantly was walking, and then I kind of just forgot about it, to be honest. And then I just started chewing it. And then I was like, fuck. And then I was like freaking out. I didn't even spit it out. I could have just spat it out.
Yeah.
But I swallowed the whole thing.
Wow.
And it was like, well, you run a marathon and it sucks the whole time. But at the end of it, you're like, fuck, kind of glad I did that.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Oh, okay.
But it was so gnarly. But I guess, you can't control it. Like once you're in.
Yeah.
And you really can't control the direction it goes or even hope that it goes in a certain direction. Because I think that's when you can start to really get fucked over by it.
Yeah. And I guess maybe because I hadn't done any sort of hallucinogenics, I was just really open to see where it went. Didn't have anything to expect.
Yeah, I figured that whole or everything with your mum probably came up because a lot of people that I know that have done ayahuasca, it sorts out a lot of, or they end up thinking about a lot of family sort of stuff, like any kind of family issues. That's been something I've kind of heard a lot of people say.
And it was great. Like I came out of it being like, like I need to get over all the stuff and like make it better. Like it's going to be different now. And like what we were saying before about it's only what you create when you put meaning behind it. Yeah. Or if you put emotions behind it, that's when it hurts. So just make it better.
Fuck, it's hard though, eh? Like even the whole COVID thing. Like my life's been pretty much the same. Like it hasn't been that big a deal. I live in Burleigh. And then I drive here every day, regardless. Even, weekends. If I'm not doing something, then I come here anyway. Mm-hmm. And then now it's just like the weekends are kind of gone, and I don't really go out and eat food with friends. But that's kind of it. Yeah. But even I found like last weekend, I was like, fuck. Like I actually think it's kind of getting to me. But like Saturday was a bad day, and I had like a rare bad day where I'll be like kind of negative and just fucking over it for the whole day. They don't happen to me very often. I ended up having to go to a mate's place, and I was just went and just talk shit with him. and then I got up in the next day, and it literally just was a decision. I was like, dude, I cannot have 2 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Like I just got up, I took my dog for a run, and then I come back, and that was it. Like it just set the whole day off. And every time I had, like, even this week, I kind of had them negative thoughts going on. It's like shit that you're just like, I guess, like ruminating on.
Yeah.
And then I just every day I'm like, no, fuck, you can't do that shit. Like you actually have to choose. But for some weird reason, it feels good to hang on to that shit. I think it makes you feel like it kind of makes you feel important. In a way, like it makes your life feel important to have these big problems that are causing so much like stress. It gives you like a feeling of importance. Like, look at all this stuff that's happening to me. Like, I'm feeling all these things. Like this is overwhelming, and it must be important. But it's like, nah, it's kind of not really, like, why am I so important? I think it's kind of half of what you said with, like, you get removed from the earth and you just see, it's just like, we are fucking pretty insignificant.
Yeah. And I had the same sort of experience, but it's not so much thinking negatively. It's like when I get super bored and say I don't have energy at the same time, like that's when I start losing my shit, because I'm like, I don't have physical energy right now to do anything, but I'm so bored and I want to do something. I want to like be distracted and do like some activity. And I had that during quarantine because I had to isolate when I came home.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to do the 2 weeks, and that was all right. Was
that like an interesting experience in a way?
For me, I was so grateful I had my friend come do it with me.
Really?
My friend, like I grew up with him, and he's just like, you know what, I will come do it for like, because he can work from home. So he's like, I'll come isolate. So I had somebody to talk to. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe I would have gone a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But just being locked up still is like, I was 12 hours from having to do, like I arrived 12 hours before they started putting people in hotels in Sydney.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have come out of that great. I would have been really down, because you're then locked up in a room and I'm an active person, and then I have nobody to talk to really, unless you're calling somebody, and then it just would have been a disaster for me. But even just being in this unit that we're at, I was able to keep talking and stuff, but I was focusing on exercise. But as soon as it, like I said, as it comes repetitive, I just get so over it and bored. And so my energy was down. I just remember one night just being like, I just can't. I need to do something, but I can't do something.
Yeah.
But then the next day, like it's a new day and you change it. You don't just keep doing whatever you were doing yesterday. As long as you just do some sort of action to change it up, then it changes your mood and changes like your thoughts and whatever. So like you move on from, but like having those moments, like you said, I think are good. Then it gives significance. The next day I had a great day because I was like enduring different things. So
yeah, I think I had a guy message me on the podcast Instagram about, he's like, oh, how do you stay positive all the time? You're always, and I'm like, fuck bro, like nah, that's not me. Like you kind of like, you see that though, because I don't really want to, people are dealing with enough shit. It's not like, you know, fucking unload all your problems on like thousands of fucking people. But like I said to him, my advice was that I've found I need to sort of have like a bit of a morning routine set. Yeah. And you hear that from a lot of people, and to me it always sounded kind of like wanky. I'd be like, oh fuck, get out of here with your morning routine. Like just get up and do it. And then I started noticing, so like reading's the thing that I'll do every single morning. And whether it like, so I'll do 20 minutes, which is basically my coffee. So I love making a coffee in the morning. Like I was like, that is kind of my routine. Like I'd like to make a really good coffee, and like I'll tip it out if it's like not good. And like that's my fucking thing. But then I was just sitting on Instagram, just like scrolling. I'm like, this is dead air right now. This is just completely nothing. So, and I've always read a lot of books anyway. So then I was like, I'm just gonna just read. I'll just do that. And then it turned into, I started setting my alarm a bit earlier so I could read more. And then now I was like fuck, this is like a really good way to start my day. Like I just felt accomplished instantly, no matter what the rest of the day was like. I was like, fuck it, I've already read for an hour, like that feels good. And I'd read good shit that I feel like added to my life. So I was like, man, no matter what, right off the rip, I've had like a pretty solid day. I've made a good coffee and I've read for an hour. So, and then now I've started to get up and run my dog straight away, like before I even make a coffee, before I do anything, and then I do that. So I've kind of ticked like a couple of boxes. And I think to anyone that is, you know, struggles with that shit, because the mornings were always the time I struggled the most, like all my self-doubt, all my negativity, all my bad vibes, all my energy. It's like I woke up in that state every day and then had to like wind myself up. Yeah. But now it's just a matter of get up, do that routine sort of style thing in the morning, and then it's like, even if the rest of your day sucks ass, you walked your dog, you had a good coffee, did something productive, and you read for an hour. So I just think that you've just got to really like trick yourself in a way.
Well, again, it comes down to mindset. The same thing for me is if I wake up, I can't sit in bed and just look at my phone. Like some people like to get up and then slowly get up. if I'm awake and then I will sit in bed and I'll do something in bed, whether on my computer or on my phone, then my whole body just feels like sluggish, and then my mind feels sluggish. I haven't really jolted awake yet, and then I carry that feeling now for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I haven't done anything productive. But then so now if I ever wake up, I have to get up straight away. Within like 2 minutes, I'm out of the bed doing something, whatever it is. And as soon as you start being productive, like you get into that feeling, and then you want to keep being productive generally.
Yeah.
Like you don't all of a sudden do stuff in the morning and then all of a sudden be like, oh, okay, I'm tired now. Like once you get that energy, like you just want to keep going, and it makes it like, that's how I do it. It makes my day full of energy.
That's what they say. If you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Like you just kind of get into that. And I feel that here, like, a lot of times it's fucking hard for me in here because it's like, it just looks like this 24 hours a day. Like I've got no concept of like, you know, what time it is. You get no like good feeling from the sun. It's just a fucking box. But I find that if I'm not super busy, I'm sort of not getting anything done. It's like when I'm really under the pump is when I get the most shit done.
Yeah. I love multitasking.
Like, yeah, you're a chick though.
It makes me feel like even more accomplished, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the other day I thought about calling all my family because I'm home and catching up with people. So I was just on the phone with my nana and everyone, and I was actually working out at the same time, and they had no idea that I was working out. So like I was just like, I wasn't doing any cardio or anything, so they couldn't tell. I was like, but I felt so good and productive because I'm like killing two birds with one stone. And I love doing that sort of stuff. That sort of stuff makes me feel like I've accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
And then I do that all day, and then it ends up being I did a lot of things today.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can get down with that.
That's what I did with the book. Like I like to read, but I can't sit down for so long. So then when I had the audio book, I can do other stuff. I'm doing my activities. I'm accomplishing tasks that I need to get done. Yeah. Learning at the same time.
Yeah. So we'll go back to the China thing. Yep. What was it like then when you sort of got off the plane and just had to start doing those shows?
Yeah, it was so exciting. Like the show was massive. We would have anywhere between 1,000 to 80,000 people. 80,000 people in the crowd. Yeah. It was massive.
Fuck.
It was massive. Like there's a lot of people in China.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had, so I was working for it was an Australian company contracted in China.
Yeah, okay.
And we were a team of 20. All of us were from typically around Australia. There was a couple from UK and America. And it was pretty much just like, it was so much fun. Like it's you put all these young people that are just full of like love doing adrenaline stuff and mucking around, and especially the Australians, they just like to party all the time. So the first solid 6 months was just like do a show, go out at night, be hungover, go do the show again. That was like the routine.
Full tour life.
Yeah. I couldn't keep up with the drinking. The boys impressed me definitely, doing like 5 nights a week. Every single week.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. But I was able to do like, the jet skis and the flyboards. And as you're in that scene, you're around people that are better than you. I love being around people that are better than me because you learn from them. They're the ones that are going to help you progress. Some people like to be with somebody and be the best at it because that makes them feel good. But I don't like that. I much prefer somebody to be better, and then I can see what I'm doing, compare it, try and be better at it. So I was around a lot of guys that were much better flyboarders than I was. I only just started.
Yeah. I
kind of went in there guaranteed that I could do the jet ski part, the jet ski routine. It was easy. We just had fireworks on our jet ski and we just drove around, did routine together. Yeah. and then started flyboarding, and I learnt off them. I did push it a bit too far. I ended up breaking my ankle. But that was on the second contract. So the first contract I was there with the Australian company, and then
how long was that contract for the first time?
6 months each time.
Yeah. Okay.
I did it total 2 years in China.
Wow.
So I did 1 year with an Australian company, 2 contracts, and then they lost the contract, and another French company who were the creators of the flyboard, they took over. So I came home for 6 months, and then I went back to that company.
Yeah.
And so it was both different scenes. Like when it was the French company, it was more international and they were more professional at flyboarding and creating a more visual show.
So wait, we should probably tell people what a flyboard is for those that don't know.
Yeah, sorry. That's
my bad.
It's the water jets that come from your feet, and it's attached by a hose to the back of a jet ski.
Yeah.
So you can fly up in the air. Now we fly on hoses that are 23 meters. So, and usually we have a 300 horsepower jet ski. So I can get up to 21 meters, full extension of a hose. And then we do tricks from there.
That's a fucking long way up.
Yeah, I've had some great stacks.
Really?
Because you're relying on equipment. Equipment fails.
Yeah.
And you fail as well. You stuff up tricks, you hurt yourself, but also...
So have you fallen from like 20 meters up? How bad's that?
It's it's really hard wind. Like it's a really...
You get winded.
Yeah, and it's a horrible face slap because what happens is the weight's on your feet and the weight's on that hose, so you have no choice but to go forward.
Yeah.
So you're always going to land on your
so you just got to pretty much just like trying to cover up.
Yeah, so you just kind of curl up into a ball and hold your face kind of thing. We wear helmets, but it's just a really bad winding. And that, I guess, was a thing that taught me, like when you... get winded.
The pain's kind of temporary.
Yeah, you just have to like sit there for like 30 seconds and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hitting that hose, like doing a bad trick or something, that's when I broke my ankle. If you're just falling and it's just that impact, like then you're going to be okay. But we also flew in 1.8 meters. So being 21 meters high, 8.1 meter depth.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's because you got so much power. If you do anything and go through the water, I did smash my face on the bottom and
really?
I cut my face open, grazed my whole face here. That was the scariest injury for me because I thought I had scarred my face for life.
Yeah.
And then I had the most horrific experience in a Chinese hospital.
Fuck, really?
Yeah. It was, I was seeing a lot. I'll quickly go into it. It's just like,
we got time.
I rocked up at, the emergency and they put me...
So how was your Chinese at this point?
Speaking Chinese. Yeah. It's such a hard language and also each area you go to has a bit different dialect so they can't even understand, like they could because they grew up with that language and they can adapt, but for foreigners it's really hard to learn and then go to another area and
then pick up the... So like if you learn Chinese... It might be like mostly useless because of the other dialects.
So I didn't have that motivation to learn it. I just wanted to learn how to get around, how to order, like buy food, whatever, just the easy stuff.
Yeah.
And so when we went to the Chinese hospital, I had to get a translator. The translator wasn't there yet, but when I rocked up, you could just see the atmosphere around. Like it was really unorganized, chaotic, a lot of people, and you could see like a lot of workers and they got these crazy injuries and stuff. And then the doctor runs up to me, like he walks pretty briskly with his hands like this and he has gloves on and my face all bleeding and stuff. And he's got blood on his hands, somebody else's blood. And he comes like within that close a vicinity, like half a meter. And I ran backwards so quickly and he realized and he's like, oh, puts it behind his back and then comes and looks at me.
Fuck.
So they put me in a room and I sat down and they rolled this other guy in on a bed and he looks dazed. He looks like he's drugged. His eyes are open, but he's just like out of it.
Yeah.
And they put him like 1 meter behind me. Anyway, they're cleaning up my lip. They're putting in a septic and all that stuff. And then I was with my friend and I turned around and they lifted the sheets off this guy and his intestines were all hanging out. Like his whole stomach was cut open and you could see everything inside. I just turned around in shock and I'm like to my friend, I was like, I didn't just see that. And then he looks.
What the fuck?
And he left. He went to throw up at the front because he couldn't. He just left me and then I started crying because I'm freaking out, being like in this place by myself, can't talk to the doctor. There's like a dead guy, like a guy dying behind me, and I'm like.
So that's why he was in shock.
Yeah. It was.
Wow.
It was horrific. And then they eventually just put a cotton bud and masking tape over my face, and then I'm like, dude, you have to fix this. Like, you can't just leave it like this. The translator came and was like, oh no, it will heal. And I'm like, yeah, it will heal, but it'll be a massive scar on my face. And then they're like, oh, okay, we're going to have to discharge you from this doctor and take you upstairs to the plastic surgeon who's going to give you stitches. Why didn't you do that in the first place?
Yeah.
So I ended up having to go upstairs and get tetanus shots, but the tetanus shots work differently. So it was 2 hours of doing one injection for every 30 minutes. That's
What?
yeah, because I don't know what they put in their tetanus shots, but anyway, I had to do that, and then eventually went
Maybe
upstairs.
that's why you can just randomly run a marathon.
Yeah,
Put some weird Chinese shit in you that they fucking
Yeah.
give to the Olympians.
maybe that's it. And then they stuck a bunch of needles and stitched my lip up, and luckily all my grazes actually healed naturally. But after that, like, I never wanted to go back to a Chinese hospital. There was another incident where I cut my foot open, and I'm in the workshop, being like to my friend who for some reason had stitching, like she had a needle and thread, so she was getting the stitches and stitching my foot up, and I was in so much pain because the bottom of your foot's really sensitive.
Oh, so sensitive.
And she gets the first stitch or two through, and I'm just like screaming, being like, I can't actually do this. This is fucked. I can't do it. And she's like, well, I have anesthetic at home. I'll go get it. So she's from Brazil. She used to be a dental assistant. For some reason, she brought all this stuff with her.
What a gangster.
I was like, thank God. So she.
What was her
got
job?
She was the girlfriend / wife of the technician. So she was there just doing a princess role, where there's like this boat, and the boat drives, and then you just do this princess action. You just do this.
Yeah,
it's
right.
really easy.
That's fucking random.
So when I broke my leg, that's the job I did, because I just had to steer with my foot.
Yeah.
And so the foot that was working, I put my knee on a chair and I just steer with a foot, and it's covered. So I'm just like doing the easy job for her until I recovered.
Fuck, that's so gnarly. And so she ended up going home, getting the anesthetic. The anesthetic.
Came back to work, stitched me up. I was like, that was so much better than going to a Chinese hospital, because that whole experience was like so bad. Never want to go back there.
Man, I just crashed a bike in Vietnam. We do like this. We do this bike tour with my family every year, and it was like, 6 days to go, and we were on these kind of like Harley things, and I just come around town. We were hooking all day, and then it started to rain, so we pretty much just were going as slow as I could go. And I mean, there was sections of the road where I was like just about to go into the drain, like we were going that hard, and then so pushing it that hard, didn't crash, and then we'd been on this trip for 10 days, didn't crash, going ham the whole time, and then on the 6 days to go, just round a turn, just front end gone, land face first on the thing, my shoulder pops out. So then I was like, all right, cool. I had to ride back 80 kilometers because we couldn't put the bike in the thing. So I'm like holding my arm up it was my throttle hand too. So I get it in gear, and then I was having to hold my arm like that. Got to this town, this like sort of little village town thing, and we're like, oh, hospital, we need to get to the hospital. And they're like, yeah, it's over there. So we went to this fucking hospital. There was no lights on because it's all on generator power. There was fucking cats everywhere.
Oh my
just a full-on army of cats. And we were just like, doctor, like my shoulder's out or whatever. And yeah, we went in there, and I was like with my mum, and I was like, hey, we're fucking leaving. Like, figure out whatever it is we got to do to get my bike on the back of the truck, and I'll go to hospital at the next place, because this is fucking not happening.
Yeah.
And but then, so this whole time, so I ended up leaning over, and I like pulled my arm between my thighs, and I just like yanked my shoulder so that at least I had like a bit of like relief. And then we ended up driving. It was like another 3 hours or 2 hours, I want to say. And in the back of the support van. And then I was just like dreading the whole time. Just like, fuck, this next hospital better be good, because I'm pretty over it at this point. Like the pain, I was just sick of being in that much pain.
Yeah.
And then we get to this hospital, and it was like nicer than any hospital I've ever been to in my entire life. There was nobody in it, and it was fucking pimp. And it cost I had like an X-ray and a ultrasound for $200 Aussie.
Wow.
Unbelievably good.
Wow.
But
so
like,
weird, isn't it? It's so close. Like, that was the same thing like Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like an hour away, has the best doctors, some of the best doctors in the world.
Yeah.
Like great facilities, and then you're in the mainland and it's like disaster.
Yeah. Well, what was the living situation like there? Like they put you up in, like, did everyone kind of live together or?
Yeah, there was a hotel that was just all performers. So our team was the only English speaking team, and then there was a lot of Russians. They did the circus side of the theme park and
Crazy
the dancing
fuckers.
stuff. Yeah. And so we were it was a staff building, and other people worked there, like just the normal Chinese people that worked in the park. We were in a studio apartment, but it was 2 single beds in one studio. So we had to share a studio. So I was with another girl at the time. There's no curtains or anything, so you just bed next to each other. So you kind of had to get used to...
No personal space.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's Asia.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no such thing as personal space.
Yeah, so from going into that tiny space, now I'm like, I don't really mind now.
Need a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good in a small space. I've been able to adapt to it. So all the team were together, and it was really fun because like we were all in the same buildings, like having your mates next door. It's like having the room, not private, but eventually I think I ended up getting my own room somehow. One of the people left, and then it just worked out that I got my own room.
Yeah.
But the facilities were pretty fine. They were decent. I mean, we didn't have an oven or anything. Like all my supplies came from this little village, and going there to buy food and stuff, like I kind of stopped eating meat then because the way that they do their meats, they have like all the meat just hanging, sitting there all day, and you don't know what's what. There's so many different types of meats and stuff.
Yep.
So that just turned me off, and I was like, yeah, I'll just like stick to like simple veggies and whatever.
Are you still vegetarian now?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
like
right.
Yeah, I don't buy meat. If somebody cooks a meal and it's got meat in it and they've put in some effort, then I'm not going to refuse. I'll eat it, but I don't go out and get it myself. So
did you feel good when you weren't eating meat?
Yeah.
Like you actually like felt better?
So I was always interested in being healthy since probably 14 years old. So I've always been looking into it. But through my early years of looking into it, I was doing horrible diets, trying to figure it out. But now I've like figured it out how I eat pretty much vegetables, and my main protein source is egg whites.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to go vegan, but it's pretty much, and I eat so much food.
Yeah.
People actually comment on it. They're like, how do you eat so much? But I also train so much.
Yeah.
So, but I'm full of energy all the time, and people think that you can't add muscle, you're not getting strong enough, but
and you're fucking jacked.
I've been able to do everything I've been doing just on egg whites and veggies, pretty much.
And that weird fucking Chinese tennis.
yeah. That superpower they gave me. Yeah.
Got bit by like a fucking weird spider in there or some shit. That's why you can do what you do.
It was weird too because I came up with like a big rash.
See, I'm fucking telling you, you got some weird Chinese shit going down. So you did 2 years there?
Yeah. So that was, so I did 1 year, came back, another year there. And then I came back here, and that's when I was working with Trade Tools, and I was working 3 jobs. I was doing Trade Tools full time, driving barges for the fireworks company, Skylighter. They do the big sea fire stuff. And then I was also doing flyboarding for Jetpack Events here. Yeah. They just do random events around the coast pretty much. So I was very busy during that 10 months I think I was home for. Yeah. I ended up working like 18 hours, sleeping 5 hours, getting up, working another 12 hours just because I was running from job to job. And then that's when I also started skydiving weekends.
I was going to say, was that when you started skydiving?
Yeah. I was making a bit more money, and skydiving is not cheap. So I was like, I love doing the 3 jobs because they're all like good jobs. But I was very busy all the time, and then weekends were skydiving. So every weekend, the first 4 months I did 100 jumps, and then now I'm on about 200, but I just slowed down because I've moved around and haven't been able to be in a close vicinity. But yeah, I did skydiving solidly for the first year. Eventually I got a contract offered to me by the French company to go to Spain and work in Warner Brothers to do an Aquaman theme show with the flyboard stuff.
Oh, right.
So we like have LED suits.
That's what you were doing before before the COVID stuff happened, right?
Yeah. So I was in Spain because they just do a summer. During winter, they don't do the shows. It's closed, the park, I think. So we did an Aquaman theme show, fireworks on our backs and LED suits and things like that, and it was really cool. And it was so much, I loved living in Spain too because there was so much more freedom. You could drive on the roads, and you could,
it was more Western, and
and there's some people that spoke English, and I could actually leave the team and go make other friends. Like I love doing stuff with the team, but when you're with one team for 2 years, like in China, and just like that's the only people you have. It gets a bit much sometimes. So it was great to have the team and then be able to go make other friends. Like I did skydiving, went to skydiving, made a bunch of friends around there.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, then they suggest places to go travel. You go travel with them. We jumped across a bunch of little islands and stuff in Europe. I was going to
say, so did you do a lot of traveling even when you're in China? Like, did you travel quite a lot?
So what I did is I could never have... In China, there was nothing to do on a day off. Like, you could go to Macau, but again...
It's so
like,
fucking expensive, eh?
Yeah, it's great, but like, you do it a couple of times and you're over it. You don't do it every single day you have a day off.
we did... when we first moved to California, we had like no fucking friends at all.
Yeah.
And we had like a bit of a hookup at one of the casinos. So like, me and my business partner at the time... We just fucking drove to Vegas like every third weekend for like 2 years. And we just like, but we ended up not doing any Vegas-y sort of shit. Like we sort of did for a while of like parties and clubs and all that sort of stuff. But then like we ended up just doing the weirdest shit, like going to these like crazy gun ranges and like doing all this like weird desert shit. But yeah, that was kind of like yeah, it was fucking random, man. But I felt like a local in Vegas, eh?
Oh,
we used to go play like weird golf courses like out in the mountains and stuff like that.
Yeah, that happens. Like when you start going to a place enough, you get over all the main attractions and stuff. So I always the great thing about our job was that we worked it out with the team. Usually on average got about 4 to 6 days off a month.
Yeah.
If we wanted more, it was quite easy to do that because everyone wanted to work.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our like minimum. And what I did was every month I would sort it out with everyone else and I put all my days together. So every 6 weeks I put together 4, 5, 6 days. And I would jump across because it's so cheap. I'd jump across to a country and I'd go to like the Philippines. I'd go to Thailand, to go to Vietnam, go to Sri Lanka, Maldives. Like I was just doing all of Asia that I could.
Yeah.
Because I knew this is my opportunity to like jump across and see more, and I'm having so much fun. And these are just my days off. I'm not wasting my days off sitting at home, not knowing what to do with myself. Where the other guys would play video games, but I wasn't into that.
Yeah.
So I was able to travel a lot of Asia when I was in China. And I did almost every country that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the same when I went to Spain. I was like, well, this is my opportunity to do some of Europe. The contract was a bit shorter and it was a bit harder because there's only 2 females there. And if one person got injured, one of us had to be there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So we had to be a bit careful. So it wasn't as easy. But because I made friends with the other Spanish people as well, we just jumped across to like the islands. We'd go to Mallorca, Menorca, go all around like Spain. They'd show me, it was great being there with locals. Like they'd show you more than what you would if you're just going by yourself.
Yeah.
And then after that I jumped over, I finished my contract in Spain and I'd met a guy that was a stunt performer for film. He does stunts in London.
Yeah.
And I met him at skydiving. So it was funny. He came up to me and approached me because I fell asleep on the plane on the way up.
Yeah.
He's just like, he just started skydiving. He's like, how can you just sleep on the plane when you're just about to get out? And I'm like, I was working all night.
I'm tired.
It's been a big day. I was like, it's like you go highs and lows. I'm just using some excuse.
Yeah.
And then we started talking. He's telling me about the stunt stuff. And I'm like, well, I've been doing stunts, but I want to do more stunts as a career. That's awesome. Like I want to do that. And he showed me the kind of things you have to do and all the activities are things that I do for fun.
This is kind of connecting some dots for me.
Yeah. It's like I work all the time and then what do I do on the weekends? And then these activities are the type that I do on the weekends. So I'm like, if you can train in this and work towards a career, then fuck yeah, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And it was a benefit to me that I also have a British citizenship. My dad's side is British and I got it when I was a baby, so easy. Like it is all right for Australians to go there for a while, but anyway.
So easy now.
Yeah. But when I had that, I was like, there's no excuse. Like I don't know anyone in the UK. I don't have any family or anything, but I'll just go see how it is. Like what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen, like you get stuck for accommodation. You can always find accommodation. Just make sure you got enough money in your bank to put you up for a little bit. And I fail at I had fun doing the activities. If I fail at it, I had fun like learning those activities. I'd get a new experience. So I couldn't see any cons of doing it. Just went over, I started training and I met all the guys there, and they kind of saw my work ethic. Like, they see me picking up skills, and I'd be there, for example, gymnastics, I'd be there working on one single trick for 4 hours straight. There's 3 hour sessions. 3 hours straight, I'd just be there fucking myself up over and over again because I was so determined to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And when I did this, it just attracted all the guys that were good at stuff to come give me tips and stuff and help me. Yeah. And since then, I made so many friends in the UK. I was not expecting to, but and now, like, we all train together, and it's so fun to go to places. Like, you have to go to, it's not like a school. You have to find all your different facilities.
Yeah, it's kind of like being like a mixed martial artist. You've got to have like your jiu-jitsu gym, your boxing gym. You got to kind of like put together a bit of a program.
And then you have to, like, London's so big, and it just takes an hour to get from one end, hour and a half to get from one end to the other. So you have to, like, set yourself up with all these facilities and jump across. So my days were full. My days were like, wake up in the morning, get up, and then I have between 3 to 9 hours every day of physical training. So I'd be jumping from one training taekwondo for 3 hours to gymnastics for 3 hours, back to taekwondo again because there was another class here, or I'd go do what else was I doing? I was doing swimming, high diving, trampolining. So I had to be really good with my time management if I wanted to do this. And because I committed, like, I didn't want to go there, work, and then get, like, just earn money, get distracted by work.
Yeah, and then you get into, like, a routine.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people, like, I've seen people go places for a specific reason, and then they need to support themselves or whatever, but they get a job. Yeah. And then they kind of forget about what they were there for. So I didn't want that to happen. I was still doing random jobs where I'd do extra work here and there, special action work, which is fighting background stuff.
Yeah.
But I was pretty much just training full time. It was like I had an hour. So say I'd be like training, I had an hour on a train. That was my time to eat. So that was my lunch. And then I'd be at the next place. And then I'd be at the next place. And then I'd get home and I'd be exhausted. There were points like, I don't know what was going on, but I'm so determined right now. This is my path.
Yeah.
That there were times at nighttime where I'd push my body so hard that my body's shaking, and I didn't realize until I sat down, like, if I keep going, it's fine. I can't feel it. As soon as I sit down, I'd see my body shaking, and then all of a sudden things would twitch. My body would twitch, and things would start aching really badly, and I wake up in the middle of the night because I'm in so much pain in, like, muscles and joints and stuff. And it's now gotten to a point where I dream about all my training.
Yeah.
I wake up in the middle of the night because I kicked. I try to do a taekwondo kick in my sleep, or I try to do a pike from gymnastics. Like, I literally do the physical movement.
Yeah, it's entered your subconscious.
Yeah.
I got that with jiu-jitsu.
It's really hectic, isn't it? Like, it becomes a bit surreal when you wake up and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. The last year before the national championships, I was sleeping on my mate's couch in Melbourne. So they're always down in Melbourne. I was so fucking nervous, like, because I just, for whatever reason, I just went there and I was like, you have to win. Like, I just felt so much pressure of, like, having to win that. And in my mind, like, there was just no other thing that could happen than me winning. And then I remember being asleep and I woke up, and I was winning, like, in my dream. Like, I got my hand raised for one flight. Next flight, I ended up, like, winning, and then I stood up. And then I woke up and I had, like, fucking gnarly, like, anxiety, and I was, like, sweating and, like, breathing real fucking I was, like, freaking out. And I was, like, I just remember being so nervous because I just had that feeling of, like, you're going to win. And it felt like I was the only one that could fuck it up. Like, it almost was like, it's already over. You just can't fuck it up now. And then I was just like, fuck, that's so gnarly. Like, I don't want to fuck it up. Like, I was just so sketched out by it. But I was literally dreaming about exactly what I was going to do. I saw the whole thing go down. But then I actually had to do like 20 minutes of just, like, focusing on my breathing. Like, just breathing real deep to stop, like, I guess, like, that kind of panic state that I was kind of
adrenaline.
Yeah, it's like my body was just in, like, a freak out for, like, so fucking weird. But that shit, when you want something bad and you're like really determined and you've, like, worked really hard for something, and especially the technique side of things, like, that's what I like the most about jiu-jitsu is technique. I really like to execute good technique.
Yeah.
And and have it work the way that it's supposed to, and under like gnarly circumstances too. Because it's like with jiu-jitsu, it's like a sequence of movements. Because I did Taekwondo my whole life as a kid.
Okay, cool.
And it's like, I really enjoyed the technique of Taekwondo, but it's like a few key movements to do one move. Whereas Jiu-Jitsu has like a few key movements to do one move, but then you've got to do another and another and another and another. So it's almost like for one thing to work, you've got to do like 5 or 6 things, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'd have times where I'd go in like float tanks and stuff where I just want to kind of chill out and just relax. And I'm just... goes fucking black in there. I'm literally watching myself do jiu-jitsu, and I'm just like, it gets frustrating how much it can enter your subconscious, right?
Yeah. Mine was frustrating me because it kept waking me up.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'd be awake thinking about it, and I couldn't go back to sleep. Like, oh man, and I needed sleep then. Like,
you are right though. Like what you said about just going all in and doing it full time. Like when I came back from America, I just decided that I was gonna do this. Like as soon as I did it, and I had a couple of the shows go all right, I stopped looking for anything else to do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck it. I'll just do it. And I was like 29, living at my parents'. And that felt shit because I'd literally lived in America alone for, nearly 10 years with all the freedom and independence that I could have wanted. And then I'm fucking living upstairs at mum and dad's. But it's just what it took. Because I knew that if I got a job, then... being like a driven person, I'd get into work, and you just start to get like a natural divergence, and it's real important. I think that if you do want something, that it's like there's actually a really cool fucking poem I'll send you.
Yeah.
It's like by this old Russian dude, and it's basically it's just called All the Way, and it's like a guy where he talks about if you want something, you have to go all the way at it. You can't half do something and expect those results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything like if you want something to happen, you need to... I heard somebody say it the other day. They're like, they're doing really well in some business because of this whole COVID thing happened. They lost their job, and now they've done this online business, and they're doing really well. And I remember listening to a recording of him saying like, the reason he's doing so well is because it's sink or swim. Yeah. Like he wants it so bad that like, if it doesn't...
He's got no other choice.
Yeah, that's it. And because you have that drive, that's what makes it. That's what makes you put in way more effort, way more time. You figure out ways to get around like conflict and stuff. You just make it happen because you have no choice. Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking about now. It's just like I want this career so badly, like more as badly as I can breathe, and it's really annoying that I want it so badly. Yeah. But
that's fucking cool though when you get to a place where you do want something that bad.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I don't care how much pain and time I have to put into it. That's just my goal.
Do you know why you want it though?
I don't know. No, I love. So the activities are fun.
Yeah, so you enjoy the process of getting there.
Yeah, so it's like I've always loved progress. Yeah. And now this path is like you have to progress in all these skills, master all these skills, which I always love doing. So if you're doing that for a career, and then at the same time, once you get that certificate or whatever, you get into that career, there's so much more to learn. Yeah. There's so many things to learn in stunts, particularly for film, that you're never going to be a master at everything. Yeah. So that's always going to be there, which is really appeals to me that I'm always going to be working on myself, doing stuff. And it's also like adrenaline sort of, you can get easy jobs where I did do a job for Gymshark. I did a commercial where I just fell off a treadmill. Oh yeah. So you can get really like simple jobs and stuff, but then you move around as well. Yeah. It's not in the same place. You're always doing different jobs for different people, different companies. So it'd be like 3 months or 6 months on one job and etc. But it's going to be a different scene, and you never know exactly what you're going to do. Yeah. I like unexpected. Yeah. Like not knowing, the same with any workouts and stuff. I always change it up so much.
Yeah, well, you don't like to get stuck into those patterns.
Yeah, because you can expect what it's going to feel like, what it's going to be like. I'd rather be excited to find out what it's going to be like. Yeah. So now that I've seen that, and I'm like, I can't think of anything else that interests me so much. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, this is like the only way I have to do this, and I want to do everything really well. That's why I'm just putting so much energy into it.
Whereabouts are you with like, have you got good contacts in that industry, do you think? Like, have you got the kind of contacts where you think that you could be able to get like really in?
Not yet.
I got you.
Yeah?
Yeah, this whole time I've been like, fuck, she should be like kind of a stunt chick. Like, my friend he does like 007, he's done Triple X,
wow.
he's done Hacksaw Ridge, he's done Pirates of the Caribbean. He's an Aussie dude.
That's sick.
Yeah, so I'd love to link you guys up.
Please,
like
please.
He's a fucking G. He lives in America now. His whole family's there,
Oh.
and I'm sure he's worked. He did Pirates here. He did Hacksaw Ridge here, like on the Goldie. So like he'd know a lot of people. Because I feel like, man, fuck for you. It's just a matter of time. Like you're gonna do this shit, eh?
Yeah.
Like you are actually gonna do like exactly what you want to do. It's fucking cool.
Gonna make it happen one way or another.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely the kind of industry where you need, you definitely need to like sort of know people to get into it.
Yeah.
And even like knowing the right things to do to sort of to like lead into it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's like the way to do a stunt certificate in Britain is known as the hardest in the world.
Yeah.
The way to do it in the US is just networking.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do 6 disciplines like you have to do. So we have to do 6 disciplines, master them all, get to a certain level, do a certain amount of competitions and certain things, and then do a test. And that takes some people 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
But if you go to America and if there's an industry and if you know people, you can get in and you're decent enough at certain things, bread and butter is fighting and falling.
Yeah.
Then you can start working like that.
You ever done much like vehicle stuff?
It is my dream to learn precision driving.
Yeah.
That is one of the disciplines, but I think it was like 16, 17 grand.
Yeah.
Just to do the precision driving. And when you've got so much training, it all adds up.
Yeah.
So precision driving is probably my number one thing that I want to learn and I'm going to learn, but I just a matter of time when I get that money behind it.
Yeah. We just started, well, it's sort of in the process of being set up, but we got like a race simulator and I want to get all of the guests that come on the podcast to like have to throw down a hot lap in an F1 car. So when it's done, I'll have
That's epic.
Yeah, and like, cause you know how Top Gear does it? Where like they put the star in, but obviously I don't have a fucking racetrack. So I wanted to get like so we got like the sick car simulator and stuff. It'd be really interesting to like put you in that thing and see like how, like if you could sort of drive fast.
Yeah.
You're the type of chick that you're like a 5-year black belt in jiu-jitsu and it's like a 10-year thing.
Yeah.
Like I was even thinking, like just through your Instagram and stuff, I was like, fuck, so did this chick do gymnastics as well when she grew up? And then with the Taekwondo stuff, I was like, fuck, so she did Taekwondo as well? And I'm like,
I did nothing.
In my head.
5 months ago, nothing.
So the whole Taekwondo thing, that's 5 months. Like that's how long you've
5
been.
months. I'm a blue belt now. I've got 2 more belts. So next one will be red and then the next one's black.
Yeah, right.
But I've been putting in triple the time that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, not supposed to, but triple the time normal people would.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been able to get, and my instructor knows this, and he's been like guiding me.
He's like trying to fast track you, kind of.
Yeah, but obviously you have to have
work.
the skill there, and you have to put in the hours, etc.
But even like I saw one thing when you were doing your isolation deal, you did like the spinning back kick with the toilet paper, and then both legs too. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Honestly, I worked on that for so long too. Like, probably 2 months before that, I couldn't spin and kick for shit. Like, I was horrific. And I was like so annoyed that I couldn't do it. But you can see in that video that I'm sweating because I could do the kick, but it was really hard to like nail it. Like, I wanted it to be
right.
Yeah, I wanted it to look good, to be half powerful, and I had to alternately do it from left to right to left, which is like one leg's always really bad.
Yeah.
And if it didn't tick all those boxes, I'm going to stay there and do it for hours until I get it.
Have you ever thought about like fighting or anything after this now?
Yeah, well, I have to do, for the discipline, I have to do 9 competitions. Yeah. 3 of them have to be international or national level, and they have to be, I have to place top 3 in all of the competitions.
Wow.
So I have to do that eventually. And we have been thinking about, me and my instructor have been talking about it, to fight. But he wants me to do get up to a black belt first and then fight, because he's watched people that have fought and been at a lower belt level and they don't know how to kick.
Yeah.
Or they don't know how to fight properly, and then they'll break bones just from a really bad technique and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because I'm training so intensely, he doesn't want me to get an injury like that that's going to pull me out from gymnastics, pull me out from high diving. It's going to
so you
stop my whole
so
process.
you have to get a black belt for this stunt certificate.
Yes. You have to.
Right.
When I say master, you have to get to like top level and all the.
And so, what are the categories?
There's nine you can choose from. There is gymnastics, trampolining, high diving, swimming, precision driving. There is motocross, but motocross is like you have to.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, it's like certain levels. It would take a long time.
Yeah.
Horse riding, which
don't do that also.
I can do horse. I can already ride a horse easily, but it's just really expensive at the time, and it was like an hour away from where I am. Yeah.
Anyway, like my brother's girlfriend's got a horse, and I was like, "Fuck, man, what a pain in the ass."
Yeah.
Like, unless you live on a farm.
Yeah. So you just have to work it out what's going to be the best options for you. So I would love to do tricking on horses and stuff because I can already ride, but it's just not. It just didn't work in everything I was doing. And what else is there? You have to do one martial art. That's the one you have to choose, the martial art.
And so what made you choose Taekwondo?
I always wanted to learn how to kick. So it was between Taekwondo and kickboxing.
Yeah.
Kickboxing I was actually looking at before, but then I liked the techniques.
Yeah, I feel like
the control.
Yeah.
That
to stunt stuff, like it probably would have a little bit more use, I reckon.
Yeah, and so like kickboxing to me looked more powerful and whatever, but when you're actually doing stunts, you're doing stuff and trying not to get hurt, trying not to hurt people.
Yeah.
So you're fighting, you need to have the precision, you need to have the control. So like you can do a kick, looks like it's just about to touch their head, but be a couple centimeters from it.
Yeah.
Which is like I saw kickboxing as more just put your power into it.
Yeah.
Like kill the person, which is what you're trying to avoid doing on the stunt.
On the stunt set, yeah. And then so you chose the Taekwondo. Then what were the other ones that you chose?
I'm also doing boxing, but that's not a discipline. I'm just doing boxing for fun.
Yeah.
And I'm doing high diving. So we have to do all our tricks off 10 meters.
So that's like a diving board, like Olympic diving board.
Yeah. So we're in the. I've been training.
That seems so random for stunts, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's high falls. Actually, I think it's probably one of the more relevant ones that you use because you do use high falls quite a bit. But it's like they go to another level. Like you have to have so much control and you have to like do certain movements. And then if you land wrong, so say if you do high falls and land on the mat, it doesn't really hurt as much.
Yeah.
But if you land wrong,
Water.
like going into the water,
As
it actually, it hurts. I've bruised all my legs like completely and smashed myself so many times. I actually hit my back once I was doing a back dive and I over rotated or something and I hit my back, but then the next day it felt like all my chest muscles had torn.
Yeah.
Like just the penetration through my chest and I couldn't breathe properly for a while and I couldn't move my arms properly for like a good week. I'm like, wow, this is like... So high diving is actually looked at by the trainees as one of the ones to avoid because it's really high injury prone.
Yeah.
Like if you do something wrong with your arm, you're going to dislocate your shoulder.
Yeah.
But for me, falling is really fun, so that's why I'm doing high diving. I like the water, so.
Did any of the skydive stuff translate, like movements in the air and shit, or?
I think it definitely helped with body control for me. Being able to create those neural pathways faster and then just being body aware has helped a lot with everything.
That's the biggest thing that I've learned through jiu-jitsu is just like that proprioception that you get of like knowing exactly where your limbs are, knowing like that's another thing with your Instagram that's cool is like your flexibility stuff that you do, because that's something that I've been working on massively and it's just now starting to pay off.
Yeah.
Like I've been training since my shoulder. I've been training a bit and the whole time I was hurt with my shoulder, I was stretching a lot still and but not just like standard stretching, I guess, like just real weird movements, just trying to like do like really deep weird like Slavic squats and a lot of like foam rolling on like joints to like open my joints up and stuff. And like, man, now like even fucking plugging shit in underneath the desk and that, like you just feel different.
How good is it? This is one thing I try to tell people whenever we're talking about flexibility.
Yeah,
and
let's
stuff.
go in on this. I talk about it so much. People just never put in the work to it.
Yeah, people don't see the benefit of it because they don't really see the results. When it's more for me a feeling, is like I love being able to move in any way possible and not feel any restraints.
Yeah.
And like sit any way possible. Like honestly, a lot of time I eat, I'm just on the ground. Like I'm not even sitting in a chair at a table. I actually hate sitting like this for too long. I'm always doing something weird and a weird stretch and stuff, just because it feels so good. But when I also do the risky stuff and I do my injuries, like for example gymnastics, I fuck up and land on my head or I land on my arms, because I've worked so well on my flexibility, mobility, my ankle or my shoulder will go completely weird, the wrong way. Like you can watch in like a video slow motion that looks like it should have dislocated or broken or something.
Yeah.
But because of my muscles are so used to now being stretched and moved around, it doesn't injure me. So people like stop there and they're like, oh shit, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's go again. Like it helps so much with that sort of stuff. And people don't even notice. Like they'll start having back pains, but it's a problem that's caused from their leg or something. Or like vice versa. My friend actually, I was just talking to him yesterday. He broke his knees flyboarding many years ago, and now he's had this massive back problem because of his knees.
Yeah.
So now he's now starting to work on it, but I think it's something that everyone should work on, and it's something you can do so simply when you're doing other tasks.
Oh, TV, like
TV,
reading,
phone, laptop, anything. You can be sitting in a stretch or doing a slight movement, just stretching out your limbs. And once you start doing it, it becomes subconscious. I always find myself now, in stretches when I'm on the ground or whatever.
Well, my living room is jiu-jitsu mats.
Oh, sick.
So I got my couch, and I decided 2020 is like year of the monk. I got a weird fucking setup running.
That's awesome.
But so I've just got like a TV. I put like a, you know, like where the fucking TV goes on the wall. I put a bookshelf there, and I was like, all right, no more TV for this year. Like that's kind of done. Yeah. And I got the couch, and then I got my jiu-jitsu mats. And I'm never on my couch ever. I'm always sitting on the floor, and I've got 2 foam rollers, like a spiky one and just a smooth one. And then I've got one of the Theragun, like massage guns, and then I've got lacrosse balls. Yeah. And like that last night, I started playing The Sim I did it for like an hour, and I was fucking over it. I sucked. And then I just got on the ground, and 2.5 hours later, I was in like, I don't fucking know what stretches I was doing, but I was just in some weird positions. And I found like, it's so gnarly. Like, do you do much like trigger point stuff on yourself, like with like lacrosse balls or like massage and stuff, or foam rollers? I do
sometimes. I guess it's not something I always focus on doing, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I probably got more into that than stretching. Yeah. But now I'm like getting super into stretching, but because my joints feel more mobile, like, so I was for jiu-jitsu, like a butterfly stretch. Yeah. Is like a kind of important one. If you can be like knees flat on the ground while you're sitting up, like that's quite useful. Mm-hmm. And because I kind of had this thing in my head, so I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and I was like, fuck, if like when I roll with black belts and stuff, they have this crazy dexterity and this crazy flexibility to where it's like I'm doing the technique right, but because their body shuts it down. So in my head, I'm like, fuck, a technique should work if you do it right. But then I'm watching these guys, and it's like, I'll get to like a late stage where I'm almost passing this guy, and then it's like, leg comes in, and then it's back to square one. And I was like, fuck, I wonder how much of it is technique and how much of it is just their body is so conditioned over like 10 years. Like you pretty much... There's like a handful of people that'll get like a 5-year black belt, but that'd be people where like I could see you doing that. That'd be your level focused, your level of energy, your natural ability, and your mindset. There's people that can do it. Yeah. But everyone else is 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I think that over that 10 years, you get stretched in so many different, weird, unusual positions that you just get that flexibility. So it's like you get in a black belt, but you're also... you've kind of done this PhD in mobility and flexibility that you kind of didn't even know you were doing. Yeah, yeah. So in my head, I was like, fuck, I wonder if I work really hard at it and I became like a blue belt that had black belt flexibility, where does that then put me? Like a blue belt that just has standard flexibility, how much better is a blue belt that's got black belt flexibility?
Yeah.
So that just in my head became like a bit of a project to sort of work on. But even like my just injuries are just fucking gone. Like I broke my kneecap on a mountain bike probably 4 years ago, and my knee's been fucked. Like I couldn't touch my heel to my ass for pretty much until 3-4 weeks ago. And I went to physio and they're like, yeah, you got a torn meniscus, blah, blah, blah. It'll never get better. Just need it'll either need surgery or it just is the way that it is. So if you don't want surgery, just live with it, like kind of how it is. And then I just, now that those mats are down, I was like, I've never really like rolled my quads out. Like I always use the ball in my hammy and I'll stretch my hammies a lot. But because my knee was so sore, I never really did quad stretches because my knee would stop before my quad would stretch. So I just neglected it. And I just put it down to my knee's fucked. I need surgery. I'll have to work around it.
Yeah.
And like martial arts is so hard when you can't be on your knees, like, and flat, you know? So then anyway, randomly one night started foam rolling the shit out of my quads because it's fucking nothing else. Like I'm just laying on the floor. And then probably like half an hour goes by and then I get up and I felt like all this blood like rushing into my knee kind of, but it was like a hard to explain feeling. It felt like blood was getting into my knee where it like felt like it never got in there for like a really long time. And I was like, fuck, my knee feels pretty good. And then whenever I would close my knee, it'd just pop like a loud crack every time. And so I moved it, no pop. And I was like, fuck, I wonder if like I could sit on my heels like a little bit better. Gone. Pain was completely gone.
Yeah, amazing.
I was just like, what the fuck? And it was an hour maybe, or like 2 hours of just kind of rolling out my quads. And then so I kind of had that in my mind for a while. So now, like the same with my shoulders and so all the little aches and pains, my hip, my hip's always been a problem. So like I couldn't do a deep butterfly stretch because this right hip, like this one would go pretty much down and then this one stayed up here. But it wasn't my groin that was getting stretched. It was the same sort of thing as my hip, my knee. But then that sort of half fixed my hip as well. So then I started getting deeper into that butterfly squat. Then I've had like my big toe, same thing, like just wouldn't bend. And it was just like, because I broke it. And they're like, yep, now it's fucked and need surgery. And then there's so much stuff that even as silly as it sounds, like your toe not working, like there's so much shit that I couldn't do and it was like, uncomfortable. So then I just got in there and I'd do my butterfly stretch, but the whole time I'd sit there and I'm like kneading away at my, like the ball underneath of my toe. Toe works now.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible how it works.
It's crazy, eh?
I had a big, like I had this ball that came up on the back. I think it was either my groin or my hamstring. It was a massive ball and it's like, before the ball came up, all of a sudden I started feeling these like pains in my quad and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like I just probably hurt myself, whatever. And then 2 days later, all of a sudden out of nowhere, there's this ball and I'm like
inside your muscle.
Like, yeah, it was on my leg. I couldn't figure it out. It was so painful. It felt like my groin had torn.
Yeah.
But then there was a ball there, which didn't kind of make sense. And I'm like, is it a cyst or something? Like, this is fucked up. And then I just couldn't believe how quickly it came up. And then all of a sudden I'm feeling tingling in my hips.
Yeah.
And so my quad's hurting, my hamstring's hurting, my groins feels like it's torn, tingling in my hips. And I had this, luckily had this massage already booked, a sports massage, and he goes and tells me that it's a knot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does a knot be like
get that bad?
That big?
Yeah.
It's like almost half a tennis ball.
Yeah.
And he's just like, it's just overuse. You've just been using it way too much and it just builds up, and then all of a sudden it joins together. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing the whatever, the guns that you get that really needles into it.
Yeah.
And it took me hours and hours, but I was just needling into it. And then honestly, once I did that and I stretched for a while, the next day, everything was back to normal. Everything was fine. The ball went away. I was like, whoa.
It's crazy, eh?
Yeah. I couldn't believe the pins and needles that I was getting because it felt like some nerve thing. And I'm like...
Well, that's what it is. Like your muscles actually contract. So there's like these columns through your muscles that your nerves will actually run through. And a lot of times you hear people that say like they got sciatic nerve and stuff. Their glutes and hamstrings get so tight around those pathways through your muscles the nerves run through. It constricts the nerves, and then that's why you get the nerve pain.
Yeah, but it's just so interesting how it could be something somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like it's nowhere even around the injury. It could just be somewhere else, and wow.
Well, that's like my knee. All that pain from my knee was just my quads just being insanely tight, and they're still. Like last night I did it again for ages, and I'm just like in fucking agony, like on just this spot, and it's quite hard. Like you've got to kind of bridge, like get in like a bridge position and just like position your body so it's like just to where this pain is like excruciating, and then you want to tense your quads to like resist against the pain.
Yes,
like you
I've
tense
done this,
it.
Yeah.
You tense to resist the pain, but all you're doing is like tightening up that muscle even more, and it's just protecting itself from that pain. That pain is nerve pain that you're feeling. So then when you can just relax and relax and relax, then that muscle will let go. And I get times where like my quad will probably sink an inch because that's how tight the muscle is.
Yeah.
And it'll just let go. And like it takes so long to actually fully get your body right out of those kind of I guess like imbalances that you get.
Yeah.
But I had that whole thing started for me when I went to a physio one day because my back was fucked. I was driving home from surfing one day. I started surfing a lot when I lived in California, and we'd have to drive 45 minutes to the beach, 45 minutes back. And one day I was driving and we had like this little convertible BMW, and I was just in the seat and I just felt my back like locking up. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I stopped, pulled the car over. I had to recline the seat and like get out of the seat while it was reclined. Like I couldn't even sit up straight, and then I laid in the back, and then my buddy drove home. So then I ended up going to the physio. What had happened, and you can actually see like when I got my shirt off, this right side muscle, like of where my shoulder blade is like twice as big, but it's from holding a camera.
Oh.
So all of those years we had like these really heavy like red cameras and stuff, and so I got all of this scar tissue started to develop around my shoulder blade. And so I was convinced I'd fuck my back. I was like, dude, like I'm in trouble here. Like I'm in America. I got no health insurance. My back's fucked. Like, and then he just gave me a foam roller and a lacrosse ball. And he's like, go home, dude, and just fucking lay on this shit until the pain goes away. And then I got really into it with my back. And then ever since then, and like then the jiu-jitsu just made me take it even further. But like, I just wish that every single person that had any kind of pain in their body would just fucking get some like mats on the floor and just spend like an hour, whether it's like social media or reading or fucking TV, man. Like you want to have guilt-free TV, guilt-free TV where you don't feel like a piece of shit for watching fucking Game of Thrones for 8 hours. Stretch the whole time.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
It'll completely fucking change your life.
Yeah. And there's so many people I see as well, like they get an injury and they're like, oh, I'm injured, I need to rest it and not move it so then it heals.
But it just locks it up more.
Yeah, it makes it worse. And I've figured that out over the years. Like you just, as soon as I actually get injured, as long as I don't think it's a break or something, I'm trying to move it around. I'm trying to warm it up. I'm trying to stretch it out, even though it might feel a little bit painful.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to try keep it moving, and all of them recover fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as like I experience something where I'm lying in bed, it makes it 10 times worse, and then it stiffens up, and then it's more of a problem later on.
Yeah. When did you start like doing flexibility? Because you're insanely flexible now. Like, was it hard for you to get like that, or did that come kind of naturally?
That was one thing I just always did randomly as a kid, kind of thing. Like
you like that just from a young age, even.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I focused on any yoga or stretching particularly. I just do random back bends and stuff just to like play around with my friends, just do some stupid thing. It was when I started doing. So I was always loved moving, but when I started training, when I was like 17 or something, started doing like gym work.
Yeah.
I could feel my body and I could feel it stiffening up. Because when you add muscle, it obviously tightens your muscles.
Yeah.
So I could feel that I was getting less mobile and less flexible, and all of a sudden I couldn't do certain things, and I hated the feeling. So I'm like, well, I need to focus on this a bit more. So now like I don't know if I do sessions now and again, because now I'm at a point where I'm like flexible. My body feels pretty flexible in general. But at the beginning, I was spending almost as much time stretching and trying to be more mobile as I would working out.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need to do. If you are somebody that trains, you need to stretch and whatever, focus on that just as much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be a big, like, stiff
muscle ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. What got you into the weightlifting stuff to start with?
I'd always wanted to do an activity growing up. I've always wanted to do some sort of sport that I couldn't do. So then finally when I had the opportunity, I was dating a guy and we both at the same time were like, oh, let's join a gym. Let's just go work out. And at the same time...
Little did he know.
At the same time, I read somewhere that for anything, if you want it to make a habit, you need to do it for 90 days or whatever. So we made this agreement. Okay, let's go to the gym 90 days straight. Like,
did he stick to it?
Yeah, he did actually. He got really into it now. Like now he's a bodybuilder.
Wow.
Yeah, like he's massive. Like I haven't seen him in a while, but I follow his Instagram and he's like, he kept at it, just gym. I broke off and went skill based stuff because I enjoy that more than just lifting weights.
Yeah, the repetitive side of that probably doesn't do much for you.
Yeah, but I always wanted to get strong and just be stronger. So I focused on that for a while, just doing gym stuff until it got boring. And then, went and did more exciting stuff and then just kept training. Like if I want to stay physically fit, but I want to be working on either a skill or doing something different. So since then I've had such an active sporty life, but growing up as a kid didn't do any of it.
It's so crazy. Like do you know how fascinating your story is? Like,
I know I'm different.
Have you ever really you've never told it like, I guess in this format maybe.
No, I haven't. So
it's like fucking gnarly, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I've always known I'm a bit different. But
all right, so what do you think is different about yourself then? Like if you said I've always known I'm a bit different, like in your head, what does that look like?
That I guess I like when I want to do something, I do it, don't put it off. And then like the way I eat, the way I train is I notice a difference between other people. I get really focused and determined on whatever it is I want to do. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well, even if it's nothing to do with physical stuff, stunts or anything. Whatever I do, I wanted to do it well, and I'm willing to put in the time and effort. And my brain I just think about it nonstop until I get there.
Yeah, so you're like an obsessive personality.
Yeah. And I've always, I don't know, I guess the biggest thing is that I haven't had as much of a fear factor compared to other people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared to try things or scared to go places or scared to do this without saying that they're scared, but you can tell. Whereas I'm just like, do it.
It had to be the way that you were brought up. Or like the way that you weren't brought up, I guess.
Yeah, it's so the last couple of months, more and more people, I guess I've been posting more on social media, more and more people asking me opinions and stuff and getting me to talk about it. And now I'm like trying to think about why I'm like I am. I haven't figured it out, but I'm going back in the past and seeing reasons why I do certain things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really interesting.
It's fucking so interesting. Like, and I mean, the thing that a lot of a lot of people, you obviously being a chick, but they'll do shit for the gram.
Yeah.
And it was like, I've got a friend, she does jiu-jitsu, and she's like a fucking smoke show, like an 11 out of 10. And she's like, just full on in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And I'm like, when I first saw her Instagram, it was just very like posing mirrors, front of the mirrors and that sort of, and I ended up messaging her a comment. I'm like, do you really train? Like, what's the deal with like you actually doing this? Like, is it for the gram? Because like that stuff just kind of shits me because it seems like false advertising when people are like really into something or they're doing something for this and it's like, fuck, you just want to wear the clothes, you just want to do that, and then you just want to take the photo and you want to post about it. And it's like that whole, if you don't post it didn't happen kind of mentality. And like that to me is always kind of giving me the shits. And I never like, it ends up that chick's actually fucking super into jiu-jitsu. Like she's lives in China and flies around Asia doing competitions by herself. And it's cool. And I got like so much respect for that.
Yeah.
And with you, I never knew, like, I didn't know whether there was a bit of that like doing it for the gram thing going on. And then what fucking changed my mind was that run. I just was like, she's not fucking, there's no way she's doing this shit for the gram. You just don't do that shit for the gram and get a fucking bus back from Tweed. I was like, this is some fucking next level shit. But it's like, it's cool, and it's like, I just had no idea that, like, the story that you had, like, it's so gnarly, like, what you've gone through. And, like, I mean, I'm sitting here inspired by the shit that you do, you know, like, it's fucking really cool. And if people are asking you to open up more about it, like, I think that that's definitely something that you should do, because fuck, man, people can learn a lot from you. Like, I'm learning a lot from you, you know?
Yeah, that's really good to hear. I guess that's like, if you look at my Instagram, probably a couple years ago, I don't post much, like as much. Since COVID, I've started to post more because I actually have friends and stuff getting inspired, and they're messaging me saying that they're inspired, and that makes me feel amazing.
Yeah.
I love being able to help inspire people. But yeah, with all the activities, I was doing that way before, like just doing random shit all the time.
Yeah.
And now I've decided to, maybe I should get content out for people to show that you can do a lot of stuff. Like, you can push yourself really hard, and you can do a lot of fun stuff. Like, all the time. You don't have to wait for it to be like a special, like a holiday for you to go do fun stuff or something like that.
I'm not sure where it comes from, or if it's just like my own personal experience, but a lot of girls just don't seem to want to embrace new things and new challenges and do things the way that you seem to. And I've got a friend, Megan Hall. She rides motocross, and she's like literally a monster model, and gets paid to look good, essentially. And she risks it all on this motocross bike that she's got, and she's like so into it, and it's so cool to see. And she's like inspiring a lot of people. She actually just fucked herself up the other day. She broke her leg really bad, which is like, I'm like, Dad, don't ride motocross.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sucks, but yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, like, I just don't meet a lot of girls that want that or want to live like that. And to me, like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I know, I agree. And I think, like, that I have a lot of friends and stuff that are always messaging me, asking me about, like, and they tell me, oh, I want to do that. I want to try this and I want to do that. I'm like,
just do it.
Do it. Like, I had a girl in the house. I said, oh, I'm going to go do my gun safety course today. She's asking me what I was doing. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go shoot some guns to get my safety license. And she's like, oh, that's on my bucket list. I want to do that this year.
I better know where this is going.
Yeah, she literally said, oh, that's one of my things to do this year. And I'm like, it's literally just
come do it today.
You have time, let's go. Like, you just, like, I don't understand why people put that thing off.
Yeah,
I get it if their dream is to go to, like, Bora Bora or whatever, and like do this activity there. Yeah, you can't just tomorrow pick up and leave, but there's simple things that you can do. Like, you want also friends want to do skydiving. They keep talking about it all the time. I guess that's a bigger step to take, because that is a scary. Yeah, but people say that they want to do it. If you actually really want to do it, just go book a date.
Yeah,
figure it out with your schedule, book a date and go do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing that people keep putting off, and that's why I've liked to now post more content, because I'm showing that you can, like, just do it, that you can.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. Like, life is so fun when you're just doing all the activities you want to do. People just think I'm like, it's a joke and I'm on a holiday all the time, but I'm living.
You're just fitting it in, yeah.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is, like, say something happened to me tomorrow. I would not regret a single thing. I've done as much as I possibly can in my life so far that I've wanted to do. There's no thing on my bucket list that I'd be like, oh, I wish I did that. I regret not doing that. So say everything ended tomorrow, I'm happy. And that's what I want to keep living like for the rest of my life. Like, there's always a new thing that comes on my list, but I want that to continue. And I just hope that, I don't know how to get it through to people. Like, I guess talking about it's going to help more, and showing it to people. But I've noticed a lot of girls, particularly, they're just too scared to get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. Do you think that it's a thing that, because it's something that I've struggled with in relationships, to be honest, where I will constantly be doing shit. And I've got shit I want to do. Like, I've got, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here. And then I'll probably be home like 30 minutes before I want to go to bed. And it's like, but to me, I'd always be like, you could do that too. And like, it'd be cool. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? To me, I don't need to be at home for like 5 or 6 hours with someone and do, or I guess all just like the normal shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of got stuff I want to do. And then when you're around, when you're doing stuff like that and it gets really hard, like I wake up when I'm training hard for jiu-jitsu, like I can't walk in the mornings. Like my feet are so sore from people ripping my fucking feet off.
Yeah.
They're like, I can barely walk in the morning. It's like, I kind of need motivation. Like I'm struggling because shit hurts. I don't really want to go to training. Like, you know, like I need someone that is going to be doing that same shit where it's like, fuck, if she's like, you know what I mean? If she's doing it, I got to do it. Like I want that. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know exactly what it is that seems to make, and look, there's a lot of fucking guys out there that don't do shit either. Yeah, so it's not like this is a girl's thing. Yeah. But I'm just sort of speaking from my own experience. But I don't know whether it's a thing where there's like more judgment in the world of girls from like a younger age. There's more pressure to conform as a girl. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure that boys have that same thing growing up. It's like boys can kind of do whatever the fuck they want in a way. And it's like you're not really going to get judged as hard or even that judgment kind of like teasing and stuff. Like I think every kid gets teased, like every boy gets teased, but that teasing for boys seems to want to make you rebel and like go a little bit harder. Yeah. And I don't know. Like I wish I could know what that's like for girls to make them feel like that.
Yeah.
But it's a hard one for me. Like I definitely wonder why that is.
Yeah, I also see like a lot of I guess it's just the female like they're more concerned, like typically, very stereotypically, more concerned.
Yeah, we're generally speaking, this is not everybody.
yeah. More concerned on like looking good and having a rich lifestyle. Like I'm sorry, not everyone, but a few people looking good, rich lifestyle, things like that, and they don't have to do. That's what they see as a good life.
Yeah.
Rather than experiences, and that's each their own. And if that's what makes them happy, that's it. But then they don't see that the need to go do all this activities and stuff. But I just don't think they're exposed to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know how to talk about this because it might be something to do with like dependence. They feel like they need somebody else to push them to do something, or they need to see, or they need to have friends doing it or something. They're not as open just to go try something by themselves. And I find like you also see a lot of girls that have started certain cool activities, but it's just been because their boyfriend at the time has pushed them into that. I mean, it's great that they actually went in and did it. Like I 100% suggest that, but I don't think they
didn't come from like themselves.
Yeah. And that's the thing I've always been avoiding relationship at the moment, because it's hard to find somebody that's going to stay on my sort of level, wanting to do all this stuff at the same time. And if you don't have that, then it's always like pulling you back. Like I'm not saying that they're negative in your life, but they're stopping you from doing certain things, even subconsciously. Just their attitude and like their motivation for things just puts you off a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to even suggest.
Yeah, because you're just a person that's like whatever, like you've just got it. And I think that there's types of people where like you've got what you've got and you sort of don't know why. And now you're trying to like reverse engineer it in a way.
Figure it all out.
Whereas like, I think I'm the opposite person, where it's like I've kind of created all the things that I've got because I thought about it, if that makes sense. And I think that there's just sort of like different levels of that. Like my mate Harry Bink, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Harry.
Yeah, I've heard of Harry.
Yeah. He's you. He's just a fucking dude, you. And he's just like, he's got all these. He got to a point where he did start to think about like, why am I like this? Why am I like that? And he's got all these like amazing philosophies, and he's got all of this like really cool shit that he lives by. It's like dumb shit, but it's him. Like he says, every day I just suck the day's dick. And it's just like this fucking retarded philosophy, but it's like, it makes so much fucking sense. Like every day is like, oh, it's real easy. Just get up and suck the day's dick. It's like, I really can't fucking argue with that, you know? And then his other things like nothing's awkward.
Yeah.
And he, you know, and he's just like, he's just made these decisions.
Yeah, it's
and then he just lives,
mindset.
yeah, and then he just like staunchly lives by these decisions. And he says, there's no such thing as a hangover. They'll fucking bend it for like 3 days, and then I'll see him run past my apartment at 6 in the morning. I'm like, God, I saw what you were doing. Just doesn't give a fuck, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there is those people exist, and then they've got to kind of like think about why, and it's you can learn so much from those people.
I do remember growing up and never wanting to be different. Like, I was always with older people. My friends typically were older, and I used to lie about my age all the time.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
23? Fuck, you're so young. Wow.
I don't usually tell people for a while.
I can cut that out if you want.
No, that's fine. Like I'm happy to tell people now, but for a long time I didn't tell people my age because I'd be talking about all this stuff, and they think I'm older, but as soon as I say I'm younger, then they all of a sudden looked at me differently. Especially before I was 18. Up until 18, I always said I was like 3 or 4 years older.
Yeah.
Just because, as soon as you say like, oh, I'm this, then they put you in this, I don't know, oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing this activity, or maybe we shouldn't speak about this.
Yeah, they want to like put you in cardboard or like a bubble wrap or whatever.
Yeah, they just put you in a category all of a sudden. I never wanted that to happen with being a female.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think a lot of females should look at. Just try and think in your mind that you're not either a male or a female.
Yeah.
And just it doesn't matter what guys do or girls do, just go with whatever the fuck you want to do. Yeah. So a lot of the sports and stuff, typically I'm usually the only girl doing, a lot of the time the only girl doing it. But just because I'm trying to differentiate, it's like if a guy can do this, I can do this. Like they might be just physically stronger and stuff, but like girls can get stronger than a lot of guys. Like genetically they're always going to have that advantage, but if you work hard enough for anything, then you can get just as good at anything.
It's fucking cool. You've just got, and fuck, I didn't know you were that young. Like it's fucking crazy. Like you the sky's the limit for you, eh? Like you could literally do anything, like whatever fucking dream job, whatever goal that you've got in your head, like you are young enough to do fucking anything. It's crazy. Like, so much potential. It's insane to see.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. See, this COVID, I don't even think it's been that bad for...
Well, so you bought, like, that gymnastics mat thing so you can keep training, right?
Yeah. It's not cheap either, but I was like... I actually got that before I decided to get a car. It's more like... I need to keep training, and there's certain things that I can only do in a facility. Like obviously at the moment I can't fight, like just train fighting taekwondo because I don't have anyone else that does that, or I don't have coaches there, I don't have the setup, the mats, etc. Same with gymnastics. I was trying things outside. I did my first like backflips and stuff on hard ground, which I was so happy with, and that this whole situation pushed me to do that. But
so you've just had to like find the little wins you can have.
Yeah. Like I know some people would look at this and be like, gymnastics is closed. I can't do gymnastics. So I need to do something else. I'm going to stay at home and do this. Yeah. But when I look in it and I look at all the stuff that I need to do in gymnastics, I'm like, I can do this outside, or I can set it up like this, so I can do this and this and this. There's always something you can work on in that. Like there's an element of parkour in that. I can work on my parkour. There's an element of balance in that. I can work on my balance. Like, you just need to figure out whatever environment you're in and mold it to that, rather than just putting in it, too hard basket. Yeah, too hard basket. So I've just been doing that. So I got the gymnastics mat just because I've been doing things outside, and it's starting to hurt my joints a bit just because of the hard impact. Yeah. And for my exam...
Do you take, like, fish oil and stuff like that?
I don't take any supplements.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean, I probably should look into it more. I did take supplements for a while when I first started the whole gym. Yeah. Then I got turned off supplements because they made me feel crap and I hated the taste of them and stuff. I'm sure there's some good ones out there now. Yeah. But I just got turned off, and then I just...
It's fish oil for your joints, though.
Yeah.
I got a buddy, he used to play in the NRL, and he's like fucking freak genetic dude. Like, I actually grew up with him. His dad was like this big Samoan, like Kiwi guy, and Brandon was like 5 years old and just flipping tractor tires down the road like his dad. So his whole life he's just fucking huge. But anyway, he's one of those. He's like a legit power lifter that can move like serious weight. Like when we were kids, he was bench pressing. I want to say like 120 or 160 as a 15,
wow.
16, like he's a fucking animal. So anyway, his joints just get thrashed.
Yeah.
And last time he came and stayed with me, he said he takes like 10, 12 fish oil tablets a day. And that's like, if he doesn't, his joints just go to shit. So that's probably something worth trying. And then I've wanted to do that for jiu-jitsu as well. Like obviously the fucking joint stuff that you go through with jiu-jitsu. But yeah, like supplements, it is important. Like, and I think that the further you go along with your training and this career, I think that you'll sort of find that you'll need to start doing stuff like that.
Yeah. I think so as well. I think it was starting to be like the repetitiveness of just like hard.
Constant impact.
Yeah. So I thought about it and I was just like, well, I'm either going to get injured or I should just get a mat.
Yeah.
Because I know I'll push myself to a level. Like if I don't have a mat, I'm going to keep doing it. So I will go too far. So I was like, I'll just get a mat, and then it's been awesome. Now I can do everything on it, and things like Taekwondo, all I need is just to practice kicks and practice forms, and then I can't do high diving or trampolining. Don't have a trampoline. Because trampolining, you need to do that like the high level flips and stuff. And you need a good trampoline, and you need a coach. But the biggest thing I'm doing now is filming myself like for hours. I have so much storage on my phone. No storage on my phone all the time because everything I'm doing now I'm filming because I don't have a coach or I don't have people there to help me spot my mistakes or help me improve. So now I'm filming and then I'm going and looking at somebody that does it really well and comparing it and seeing what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. So like that evaluation process and then fixing it up. So I have been able to keep progressing in some ways, just not like 100%.
Yeah. Is there a lot of like YouTube and shit with Taekwondo?
Yeah, there's some things out there. It's hard to find stuff that because everyone has like kind of different practice. Yeah, I usually just hit up my coach.
What's your version of Taekwondo? Like, because I did Taekwondo when I was young.
Mine's WTB, I think.
Yeah, okay. Because there's all like the different associations of it, right?
Yeah. So sometimes like some forms will be a bit different. But luckily, I had my coach just send a message being like, hey, can you send me a video of forms so I can just...
So like the patterns, right?
Yeah, okay. The patterns.
We used to call them patterns.
Yeah, patterns. Yeah. And then things with kicks and stuff is just like just anything on YouTube. You just type in what type of kick it is and you can find it. Yeah. YouTube's amazing.
It's crazy, eh?
Yeah, I've learnt so many random things just by... teach yourself almost anything on there.
It's gnarly, eh?
Yeah, you just have to be careful, like for things like learning how to backflip. People are like, you can learn how to backflip in one day.
I was gonna say, do the splits in one day. I'm like, motherfucker, I've been trying for a long time to do the splits, and that shit ain't working.
Yeah. So like time, everyone works differently, and it does take time. Like I know for me, jumping in gymnastics was always a struggle. I'm good at doing the flip side of it, like the tuck and the holding and throwing it,
but the actual lift,
the lift, and some people genetically have it amazingly. They can just jump and they really high off the ground. But for me, I struggled with that, especially for backflips and things like that. So it took me a lot longer than do it in a day, do it in 5 days. It's just like everyone has different problems. And their body works differently.
This is like Mortal Kombat. You get like the fucking aggression, and then you get the, you know what I mean? Like you get all power, health, whatever. Yeah. We all kind of have that shit.
Yeah. So as long as like you can find it all on YouTube, but just don't expect if you're not making it in this certain time, don't like put yourself down or don't stop or anything. Just know that you need longer. You need to train a bit harder in certain parts. But yeah, definitely like film yourself and then compare it to other people. Or like if you're learning another skill, obviously, it's just like...
Yeah. Do you have much of like a support network around you doing this kind of stuff? Or you really like doing this shit, kind of just trying to make it happen yourself?
So when I went to London, met all my friends. A lot of them already... there's quite a few of them already stunt performers. Yeah. So I can always message them and get info off them. They're watching my stuff all the time, sending me messages here and there. But when it comes to like pushing myself or like knowing what to learn next, that's all me. I just need to figure it out. But they're always there if I have questions.
Yeah.
But they're not there holding me accountable for things or anything like that. They're just there to...
Seems like you kind of got that shit dialed there yourself. What's like your dream jobs and like what's the direction that you'd like to go in that whole world?
I reckon stunt doubling. Like just being... I'd love action movies. That's where most of the stunts are.
Yeah.
I'd love to be doing like precision driving and fighting and just being like... I always had a dream as a kid to be a spy.
Yeah.
It's to do that like really ninja stuff and take down people. So that type of thing, like doing stunt doubling, I reckon.
I feel like you could almost be a spy in real life.
I've been joking about it a bit. I'm like, guys, I'm just lying. I'm not doing stunts. I'm just trying to be a spy.
I was going to say, just fucking like go to the government and be like, wait, you got anyone like me? Didn't think so. What do you need me to fucking do?
Yeah, I've been really interested actually. I almost joined the army a couple of years ago, but I didn't want to put away 6 years. I didn't want.
Yeah, I was going to say it just seems like you've got a higher level than that.
Yeah, but I at the time I thought it was like really intense training and stuff. Apparently, it's a lot easier. When I went in, did the application, did the fitness test of it, it was so easy, and I'm like, oh, this is not very hard. And then when I was reading the David Goggins book. Seeing like what they had to do back in the day in the SEALs, hectic, and I'm like, how do I get that training? Like, I know it's brutal, but I'm so interested to have a physical, push myself physically into my limit. I want to see where my limit is because I've never done that.
I was going to say, like, what's like the gnarliest thing you think you've done physically? In terms of like pushing yourself.
I didn't do it. I had convinced myself I was going to do a base jump off a mountain.
Oh, did you go up with a dude and then he jumped off and you did it?
Yeah. So he's a professional. He done so many base jumps.
Do you know anyone here that does it?
I do know a couple people, just from the skydiving. There is probably 2 people, but it is illegal in Australia.
Yeah.
I know a friend that's jumped off the Q1, stuff like that, but I haven't spoken to them in a while, so I have to reconnect. But
is his name Jeff by any chance?
Yeah.
He does jiu-jitsu. Well, I've known Jeff for fucking... He's been on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've known Jeff forever. He got fucking gypsied hard the first time I met him. I was probably like 18 or something, and then me and him drove to Port Macquarie, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, first time I'd ever met him, I just jumped in the car and we drove to Port Macquarie, and we ended up staying together for like this wakeboard comp. But he's a fucking G. That's why I was wondering if you knew him, because he's like pretty... Like he's fucking gnarly with that shit.
Yeah. I remember meeting him and talking to him quite a bit all the time when I was back here last time in Byron jumping. But yeah, that week I was meant to... So the progression for base jumping, you're supposed to do it off bridges and stuff.
Yeah. And it was wingsuit base too. It wasn't just base.
He was doing wingsuit. I was just going to do base. Yeah. And it was kind of like, okay, we're going to go up the here and we're going to go try and do bridge jumps.
Yeah.
That was the plan. And I had a rig with me and everything. And then the weather was shit, so we couldn't do it. We couldn't go to... Because we were going to jump across to France and do it there, but we couldn't do it. He wanted to go jumping, so he went up this mountain. I remember being the pickup car to get him. I went and dropped him at some point and picked him up, and it was so scary for me because I watched him do the base jump. I've never seen a base jump before.
Yeah.
Watched him do the wingsuit base jump. So loud, it sounds like a plane. I'm like, holy shit, yeah. And then I lost him, and I didn't actually see him open up because the trees were everywhere. So I'm like, I went in kind of like a little bit of a panic because I'm driving
where
around.
You were at, like it would have looked the whole time like he was going to hit everything.
Yeah, it was twice where I watched the wingsuit. The first time I was in the trees, so I saw him go above me and go like that. And that was so fucking fast. I was like, when he was that close and I was just zooming past, I was like, holy shit. But I couldn't find him for half an hour. And I'm driving around this village. You're just thinking
this dude's fucking cooked himself.
I'm like, Alex! Like screaming out the window for 30 minutes. And eventually I find him on the road.
So he didn't put a phone in his pocket or something?
No. He didn't. No, there's no reception there.
Yeah.
And then we hadn't organised where we're going to pick up, where we're going to meet, which is the dumbest part. We should have organised that. Anyway.
I feel like that's like the easiest part of base jumping.
Yeah,
it's just like figuring out where the fuck you're gonna meet.
And then he's talking to me, being like, he knows my skill level. He knows that I pick up things really quickly, and that I'm not afraid. Like with those things, if you've got fear in your mind, then that causes you to make mistakes.
Yeah, but I feel like not having fear in your mind can also fuck you up. Base jumping.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like you need to be very switched on to do base jumping. It's very actually technical. That's the ones that live are the like very smart at figuring that shit out. But yeah, anyway, he knew my level, and he goes, you know what? If these guys are coming to film his base jump, if the weather is good, you can jump off and do your first base jump off this mountain. And then for a couple of days, I was backs and forths. I'm like, nah, don't do it. Like, or should I do it? And I was watching these videos of people dying, and then
fuck that.
I mean, you need to. If you're going to do base jumping, you need to watch people fuck up.
Really?
Yeah. You like that.
Fuck that.
You need to know what can go wrong so you can avoid it.
I feel like I could know that without actually watching some kind of die. It's fucking hectic.
But there's just so many different things that can go wrong. So if you watch it, and then that puts you in a mindset if it's really worth it. Like, is this moment worth doing it? Is it worth risking death? So I was backs and forths nonstop, and like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not worth it. And then, eventually, like, that was just a mindfuck for me. And then eventually, he's like, okay, let's walk up the mountain and just see. So, but the mountain was like a 6 or 7 hour hike round trip. Like, it was 3 hours up, and it was really steep. So and the rig, really heavy. I was carrying like 2/3 of my body weight on my back. So we did this massive hike up, and then he's telling me the whole time, he's talking to me about it. He said, for like base jumping, there's people that do these massive hikes to go base jumping. You need to have a strong enough mind that if you're up there and that wind isn't perfect, or if
you can walk away.
Yeah, you can walk back down that mountain. Or like, if you're starving, you've walked up there, have no food, no water. People do like day hikes and stuff or whatever to get to a spot that they want to jump. If it's not perfect, the people are like, if it's like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, usually you should be like, no. If it's a maybe condition, you should just be like, no.
Yeah.
But if people have walked up for hours, hungry, thirsty, the night's falling, they're going to get lost on the way back, they eventually just say, oh, no, fuck it, I'll jump.
Yeah.
And then that's where the biggest mistakes happen, because they jump in weather that's not perfect.
Yeah.
So we did the hike, and I got up, then I convinced myself. I was like, yep, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm ready for this. It's like I walked to the edge, looked over. Yep, ready for this. And then Alex, he actually got a bit panicky because he had to fly with a drone, and that was putting another panic in his mind. And then because he was my coach, he didn't want to stress about me at the time. So he's just like, the weather was good, but he's like, Bridget, I don't want you to jump because I'm freaking out right now, and I need to be in a...
Yeah, he needs to be in his zone.
Yeah, he needs to be in the perfect mindset to do this. So I'm like, I was so upset. I was so disappointed, so frustrated, but I'm like, you're saying that, and then I'm accepting that. That's fine. I'm walking away. So I did the 3 hour hike back down with the cameraman. But that was like... And then afterwards I thought, like, I want to do base jumping, but I can put it off. It's not something that... Like, it's not something that tomorrow if I die, like, I'm not going to regret it. But if it is something that I potentially would want to do, to try, not get into full time, but it was something I potentially want to. But that was, a very interesting week, just going ups and downs of if I should do something like that.
I bet.
And considering what the value of life is.
I was going to say, did that bring up some like kind of gnarly thoughts?
Yeah, it did. It really does. When you actually confronted with doing it, not just talking about it, you're there ready to do it, and it makes you think about a lot of shit.
Fuck, that's so gnarly. I don't know that I want to do the skydive thing. Like, I've sort of gone back and forth, and especially Jeff, like, we've known each other so long, we're such good friends. Like, I trust him so much to do it, but like, I don't know, I've just got like a bit of a mental block with it. Like, why? Like, I've done a lot of shit. Like, I've done a lot of crazy shit. But it's like, I just don't know that I need that. I
look at skydiving though, and to me, once you actually get into it, it's not as dangerous as people think. Yeah. Because what was happening with me at the times, I was thinking about getting my road bike license. I have my L's, but I was thinking about
I'd say that would be more dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be more worried about you on a road bike.
That's what happened. I had this conversation with my dad. I said, I'm either going to do road bike or go skydiving because I got this money. I want to do one of the two. And then he's like, don't do road bike. Because he used to ride bikes. He's like, no, you have to rely on everyone else. Whereas, like, if I'm doing a skill that I'm relying on myself, then I feel really comfortable. Yeah. But if you have to worry about other people, which skydiving can be like that, you do have to worry about other people as well. But so
you can avoid that though.
Yeah. And then when I looked into skydiving and stuff, if you like do everything properly and you check everything properly, you have 2 parachutes and like
the chances of shit going wrong.
I haven't. In my over just 220 jumps. I haven't had any problems in free fall at all. Like, not even any mess ups. The only time it's been a close call has been under canopy when I'm landing and somebody else has done something wrong and almost hit me.
Yeah, okay.
But other than that, I don't find skydiving as dangerous as a lot of people think.
Yeah. Have you ever looked into doing like ultra marathons or like gnarly adventure races and shit like that?
I heard of it. I never heard of an ultra marathon until the book, which was a few days ago, last week. I read that, so that's something else to look into.
Yeah, because I feel like you've just got one of those crazy minds where like you could do that shit, and like I just feel
very interested.
Like genetically, I feel like physically you could do it. Even like no sleep. Have you ever done like no sleep stuff where you haven't slept for a few days, like but on purpose, like shit like that?
Yeah,
where you like have to stay awake.
Yeah.
Because shit like that, like that was one of the things that I enjoyed about traveling. Like I've had some gnarly fucking traveling experiences with work where like we just didn't fucking sleep, and we like, but not partying, no drugs, nothing like that. Like we just booked these crazy fucking routes, and then so like one time I don't know if I've ever told this on the podcast or not, but one time we flew from, I can't remember whether we started in New York or we went California to New York, but we went like California, New York, Ireland, so flew into Dublin, and then we landed in Hamburg, Germany, and then then we landed in Berlin, and then flew to Hamburg, and then we got to Hamburg and we were supposed to film this rock concert. The band that we were filming had their passports stolen in Berlin, so they were like, hey, we won't see you guys until like Brussels or something. It was like 3 days, so we were like, fuck, we got 3 days, like we're not staying in Hamburg, let's go to Amsterdam. So we didn't decide that originally. Actually, we went, we filmed the show, we both got in, and we were like just overtired, like in that weird zone where like you're not tired, you're not awake, you're just kind of floating in fucking weirdness. And then we went to the concert, got back to our hotel, and it was just shit. Like it was so fucking dodgy. And then we were like, fuck it, let's go to Amsterdam. So we looked it up and it was 7 hours. So we hadn't slept for like this entire international flight, like maybe got a little bit of sleep on the flight or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we drove from Hamburg to Amsterdam, got there at like 5 a.m. on the Autobahn the whole time, like the car was fucking pinned. And then we got there, and then we were like, all right, we're fucking tired. Like we definitely need to sleep. It'd been like 3 days pretty much without any sleep. And but we were both just like into it. We were like, let's just do it. Like, let's just fucking do it. And then so then we were like, okay, the challenge is done. Like 3 days, we have to fucking go to bed. So we booked in at this airport hotel, and then we're like, we'll stay here. And then we'll get up and we'll fuck around in Amsterdam for a couple of days, and then we'll meet them back in Brussels. Anyway, just as we get to this hotel, the band fucking calls us and says that the police found who stole their passports. Oh. And that they're going to be back in, so it wasn't Hamburg, the next show was in Cologne, which was an hour away from Hamburg. And they're like, we'll see you there in like 9 hours. So it was a 7-hour drive back there. So we had 2 hours sleep in this fucking airport like hotel deal.
Yeah.
And then we had to fucking drive. I drove pretty much the whole way. I was fucked. Like pretty much was so tired that I just thought I was going to stop. Like I was going to die from just stopping. It was just like I was just going to hit a point where the lights had shut out and I'm done. Like there's nothing more. And I'm fucking on the Autobahn. I was like, drive. I was like, oh, dude, just go as fast as you can. So then you get like adrenaline, and then you've got we had like a Volkswagen Jetta or something, slow as fuck. This thing's just going, just top speed. And then then I had to get out of the lane because all like the actual fast cars were coming past. It was freezing cold. We had the fucking windows down. I'm like slapping my face the whole time. Like, but it was one of those experiences where when it was over, we were just, we got there and then we had to film the show. And then we just filmed the show like we were normal. Like, I went from almost thinking I was going to die, like the lights were just going to turn off, and then you push through it. And then I just did the show like a normal person, and I couldn't even sleep when I got back to the hotel, like when it was all over. And it was like a 4.5 day like sleep deprivation exercise, and it was fucking
insane.
hectic to do it, eh?
Yeah.
But I feel like you're the kind of person that would be like into that weird
Well,
shit.
now I'm interested to see if the last 4 days. Yeah.
Fuck, you do like, it's weird when you stay up.
Yeah, I've done like a couple of days where I've been like finishing a show late at night and then jumping on a plane to go somewhere because I always try to maximize my holidays. So and our shows always ended at midnight and you had to pack up and shit. So like doing that and then going to a place and not having, I've done it where I've not organized accommodation, not been able to get accommodation. So I just stayed up all night and like did random stuff with friends. So I've done probably like 2 days, maybe 2.5 days, but I've never done it as intensely.
I feel like would you have the problem of like not, like almost wanting to do too much shit and then like having a hard time narrowing your focus of like what you want to actually do?
Yeah, all the time. If I book holidays, I'm like, I have to watch out who I do it with because I'm like, I want to do so many things.
Yeah.
And they can't keep up. Like, they're just like, oh, I'm tired. Like, let's just relax here or do this. And I'm like, oh, but I want to go here. But that happens. So, like, I just have to look at it and I'm like, I know I have so many things to do. And it happens, like, with my day-to-days. Like, I have a bunch of things I thought that I need to do. But I don't. Sometimes I just let it happen.
Yeah.
Just the first activity I think of, I'll do that and just keep going.
So what, like with work-wise, so you just save the money that you get from doing these shows and then you just kind of like live off that in between and like now you're using that money to fund now the stunt stuff.
So I'm very good at saving. That I learned that from a young age. I always have been able to work and not spend much money. Yeah. So I spend money on these activities or whatever.
I was going to say, you're just like an activities person.
Yeah, experiences is my big thing. I live out 2 suitcases for the last 4, 5, 6 years. I don't remember. 2 suitcases is pretty much my thing. I've had a car, but it's never been here using it. Like it's just been, I've had stuff random places, but my solid life is in 2 suitcases. And things like food and whatever, I don't see the value. Some people do. Me, I don't see the value in spending money. I will never buy a meal out, like really? ever. I don't. For me, I eat so simple. Like mine are really veggies and stuff. And if I was to buy that out, it costs like 4 times the price. If they're making something that's like a lot of effort and I can't do it myself, or like they're putting in a long time to make this roast or whatever, that's different. Maybe I would spend money on it. But if it's just like my typical diet, I'm like, I don't see the point in spending 4 times the amount for something you could just put in the microwave for a minute.
Yeah.
So with food, and same in the supermarket, I just don't see the value in buying all the expensive stuff. So I buy really cheap food and I eat a lot, so I need to buy cheap food. So I've always done that. And then with clothes, I've just always looked after my stuff. I'm not a shopping person. I don't like to go out to the shops and just browse for clothes or whatever. I just buy the things I need, like workout gear. And then it seems to last a lot longer. I'm not so worried about fashion and things like that. Like I like to look nice and I like to have definitely nice clothes and things like that. But I'm not worried about keeping up with certain fashion styles or whatever. And I also, because I live in 2 suitcases, can't have that. Yeah. It's kind of like minimalist lifestyle. Yeah. So I don't spend money on any of those things, food and whatever. It just pretty much goes into travel and activities. And because I've been saving, I've been able to sustain myself. And also, like, for example, places like London, I had friends that for the first couple months helped me crash with them. While I figured my stuff out and then found a place when I'm looking for. Now that I've lived in China in a tiny room with sharing with somebody, I don't need big space. I don't need to spend a lot of money on accommodation. So I'm happy to go somewhere. Mind you, I'm also not a person to be at home for very long. I'm there to sleep usually. So you can put me in a box room and I'm fine. Like for accommodation. I won't be in there, but like I'll pay cheap accommodation rather than getting something that's like, I have another friend who needs things a certain way. Yeah. It has to be to a certain star or everything has to be like styled or whatever. For me, I don't care about that.
Is it hard for you to hang out with people then? Because like most people care about all the shit you don't give a fuck about.
It is. I've just learnt to like keep my mouth shut because that's what they value, and that's okay. Like I will always give my opinion, like if they ask for it. But if they're now I'm staying with some guys and one of the guys plans to buy $5,000 shoes. For me, I just don't see the point, but that's what makes them happy. So I don't see the point in like giving my opinion. Yeah. So those type of situations, I just don't say anything, and I just know that that's what makes them happy. That's what makes me happy. And maybe once they do get those certain goals and they get over it, and then they'll realize. But if they ever ask me, then I tell them my opinion, but I'm not forcing it on anyone.
Yeah. You seem like you got a lot of fucking really crazy shit figured out for someone that's really young, and you've had an absolutely gnarly life. Fuck, I'm genuinely. I had no like. I thought you were cool, but I just had no idea the stuff that you'd been through. And I mean, maybe not many people know the stuff that you've been through, but like with everything, the way that you've laid everything out, like yeah, I just think you're in for like such a gnarly life. Like it's gonna be cool to sort of watch, you know, go forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited for the future. Just having fun.
Well, I appreciate it. We'll wrap this one up.
Sweet.
And thanks so much. And whenever you want to come back, you're more than welcome. And yeah, I'm like really, really excited to see what the future has for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been great just to be able to share all this.
Yeah, man, fuck. Like honestly blown away. Like it's so cool. And like, yeah, I think that, I think that over time, like it's cool too, because a lot of people try to be inspirational for like inspiration's sake, because it does feel good. It does feel good to like get that back.
Yeah.
And it's very like, I think that those people that are after that can only inspire people to like a certain amount. There's like a ceiling on what you can do when you actually have the intention of like wanting to inspire people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's something that I look at someone like you, and it's like you're just not trying. Like you're doing your own thing, and even to the fact where you don't want to push your opinions on people. Like even that's cool as fuck, because it's like you sort of just don't have time for that shit. You know what I mean? Because it like takes energies to like get in an argument with someone.
Yeah, I like to stay out of any sort of negativity or arguments or anything like that. It doesn't really go anywhere. If somebody's got an opinion, it's pretty hard to change it, and they're not like, you can usually tell if somebody's open to changing an opinion or not. Like when they're asking you, then yeah, they're curious to find out what you have. But if the rest, yeah, it's just too much effort, energy for no reason.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people that even my friends that I'm staying with, they are very opinionated in certain ways.
How old are they?
They're 26, 27.
Yeah.
They're pretty switched on though. They're like running businesses from home and stuff.
Yeah.
But we had a discussion. I was just there. I wasn't in the discussion about how your mind can actually heal you.
Yeah.
And they're very opinionated on like we were talking about if you have cancer, if your mind can heal cancer.
Yeah.
And I was there with a guy there's a guy there that was a doctor. He was a boyfriend or something. And he was saying how he can't just heal cancer with your mind.
Yeah.
You can make yourself better and stuff. Anyway, these guys are so opinionated. They're arguing there for 3 hours. And I'm sitting there being like, can we just
fucking time, yeah.
change the subject? Nobody, you could tell in the first 10 minutes, no one's going to change their bloody minds. Just move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't like to get into that because you can tell. But obviously if somebody wants to know something, learn something that I can offer, then yeah. Yeah.
No, it's super cool. It's super humble, very talented, and yeah, you've got a lot of cool shit coming your way. So I mean, like I said, I knew it was going to be cool talking to you just based on like what I'd seen you do, but just no idea how fucking deep that well went down. So yeah, anytime you want to come back, more than happy. I really appreciate
After
it.
the next adventure.
Dude, I'm keen.
I'm back and tell you the details. Yeah.
Perfect. Right, thanks for coming.
Thanks.